Are you crazy? My blind date is forcing me to get a marriage certificate. When Lu Ming was forced by his mother to go on a blind date, he met a beautiful young woman, Lin Wan. Lin Wan, I have a daughter, not sure if you mind. Lu Ming, age is not a problem. Lin Wan, well then, you don't have to worry about the living expenses. At that moment, Lu Ming, socially dead, quickly tried to escape, but the beautiful young woman directly dragged him to the Civil Affairs Bureau. After marriage, Lu Ming could only say one thing: oh my god, this is so good tilde. Chapter 1, A Blind Date with an SSR. Jade Pavilion Tea House. This is a famous high-end, private tea house in Haiban City, frequented by people of status and reputation. It was Lu Ming's first time stepping into this place. The ambience of the tea house lived up to its reputation, with elegant and serene surroundings, the air filled with the fragrance of tea smoke. But at this moment, Lu Ming couldn't care less about the surroundings. Because he was here for a blind date. Lu Ming never imagined that, as a bright young graduate, he would end up in a situation like this. They say marriage is the tomb of love. But he hadn't even tasted the sweetness of love yet, and now he was being pushed to tie the knot. He couldn't understand what his mother was thinking. She had always strictly guarded him, forbidding him from falling in love too early, driving away the girls who were after him. And now, she was rushing him to get married. All because she wanted a grandson. She kept saying things like, first marry, then establish a career, and that the Lu family had been passed down for 3 generations by a single male heir, and it was up to him to continue the family line. With all this pressure, Lu Ming had no choice but to tactically give in and agree to this blind date. He was only planning to casually go, have a cup of tea, chat a little, and then leave. Yunwu Pavilion. Coming back to his senses, Lu Ming had already reached the door of the private room they had agreed upon. Har. He took a deep breath and knocked on the door before opening it. A beauty from the southern land, her beauty like peach blossoms. Suddenly, a line of poetry appeared in Lu Ming's mind, perfectly fitting the scene. The woman across from him immediately drew all his attention, and even the exquisite decoration of the tea room couldn't steal his gaze. You're here. The woman greeted him calmly, her hands still moving gracefully. The pale green tea swirled in the air, landing smoothly in the teacup. Hello, I'm Lu Ming. Lu Ming stepped forward to introduce himself. I know. Please, have a seat. The woman smiled gently, inviting him to sit down. I'm a friend of your mother's. My name is Lin Wan. When Lu Ming heard this, he was taken aback. Her mother's friend. Wasn't this woman supposed to be his blind date? So she was probably a relative or friend of his date. For a moment, Lu Ming felt a bit disappointed. But then he thought about it: blind dates were just like a card draw game. There are N cards, R cards, S cards, SR cards, SSR cards. It's not that easy to draw an SSR card on your first try. Since he had come here expecting nothing, it wasn't so bad. With this thought, Lu Ming felt a little better. Lin. Sister, hello. Normally, he would call her auntie since she was a friend of his mother, but looking at her stunning beauty, Lu Ming couldn't bring himself to say that. Instead, he nervously switched to calling her sister. Lu Ming, as your mother's good friend, I know a bit about you. Lin Wan said with a smile. Today, I want to introduce you to my situation. I have a daughter, she's about 3 or 4 years younger than you. I don't know if you mind. A blind date for her daughter. This was Lu Ming's first time on a blind date, and he hadn't expected it to be like this. But he still responded with respect. Sister Lin, may I see a photo of your daughter? After all, it was a blind date, and he needed to know what his potential partner looked like. He was curious. Lin Wan, hearing Lu Ming's request, showed a trace of doubt in her eyes but still nodded. All right. She then picked up her phone from the tea table, found a photo, and handed it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took the phone and stared at the picture. He froze in place. This was Lin Wan. She was Lin Wan's daughter. His blind date. Lin Wan. The campus beauty of Nankai University. Lu Ming's junior. The two of them had shared a brief history at school, almost becoming a couple, but due to some incidents, they had parted ways and hadn't seen each other since. Lu Ming could hardly believe it. She was now his blind date. Reality was indeed more absurd than comedy. At this moment, Lu Ming's mind was in a whirlwind of emotions. Seeing Lu Ming's complex expression, Lin Wan quickly asked, "What's wrong, Lu Ming? Are you minding something?" Countless thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind, but he finally replied, "Age is not an issue, as long as your daughter agrees." To Lu Ming, the fact that Lin Wan was younger than him didn't matter at all. There was no question of minding or not minding. At this moment, Lu Ming felt a small, subtle change in his heart. If his blind date was Lin Wan, he didn't really mind. Maybe this was an opportunity to clear up the misunderstandings and explain things to her. And with the pressure from his family, if this didn't work out, there would definitely be another blind date. Why not just agree? "No problem. I'm her mother, and I say it counts. Let's talk about the marriage details." Lin Wan's next words caught Lu Ming completely off guard. They were already talking about marriage. He hadn't even dared to think that far ahead, hoping just to clear up the misunderstandings and maybe reconnect with Lin Wan. "Sister Lin, don't you think it's a bit too soon to talk about marriage?" Lu Ming asked delicately. After all, they hadn't even met again yet. It's said that dating without marriage as the goal is a waste of time, and the same goes for blind dates, Lin Wan replied. "And I'm in a hurry. If you have no objections, let us settle this quickly." Before Lu Ming could respond, Lin Wan continued. "I run a listed company worth billions. You don't have to worry about living expenses. I can buy you a house and a car, and give you a monthly allowance of 1 million after we marry." Lin Wan's generous offer was almost like a dream, like some kind of brainwashing sales pitch. Lu Ming was stunned. He hadn't realized that Lin Wan's family was so wealthy, running a company worth billions. If he married her, he would have a house, a car, and 1 million every month in pocket money. It was like stepping straight to the peak of life. Who could resist such terms? At this moment, while Lu Ming still kept his calm on the outside, inside, he was already cheering with excitement. By the way, at that moment, Lin Wan seemed to remember something. "I know your mom is in a hurry to have a grandson, and you don't need to worry about that. I'm willing to have children." At those words, Lu Ming froze. His body stiffened, and he forced a smile, asking uncertainly, "Lin, sister, you're my blind date." Now, it was all clear to Lu Ming. Lin Wan looked momentarily stunned, then nodded, asking in return, "Yes, why else?" Although Lu Ming had figured it out, hearing Lin Wan confirm it left him with a numb scalp and weak limbs. This could never happen in a drama. No wonder Lin Wan had mentioned having a daughter who was 3 or 4 years younger than him and asked if he minded. Lu Ming had thought the focus was on her daughter's age. It turned out she was asking if he minded that she had a daughter. Chapter 2, Taken to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Lu Ming's expression was complicated and twisted, which immediately alerted Lin Wan to the situation. The smile that had been on her face faded. Lu Ming felt as though he had fallen from spring straight into winter, the atmosphere turning cold and tense. "What do you mean?" Lin Wan's voice was quiet but sent a chill down his spine. Even so, Lu Ming gritted his teeth and summoned all his courage to speak. "Lin Jie. I'm sorry. I thought my blind date was your daughter, but I didn't expect it to be you. You're my mom's friend, and we really don't match." With that, Lu Ming suddenly stood up and rushed toward the door, eager to escape the awkward scene. He sprinted all the way to the entrance of the tea house. "Catch him!" He heard Lin Wan's voice behind him. Before he could react, 2 burly men stationed at the door received the command and swiftly caught him, as if grabbing a chick. "President Lin. Take him to the car." Lu Ming was dragged by the 2 men into the back seat of a Rolls-Royce Phantom. Lin Wan followed closely behind. "Lin Jie, this is kidnapping." Lu Ming complained bitterly. "Yes, I'm kidnapping you," Lin Wan teased, pinching Lu Ming's cheek. She then turned to the driver and gave a command. "Go to the Civil Affairs Bureau." The car smoothly began moving, heading straight for the Civil Affairs Bureau. Lu Ming, still in shock, was flustered. He wasn't used to such teasing and felt his face heat up. Lin Wan was his mother's friend, and since his mom had arranged for him to go on a blind date with her, Lin Wan surely wouldn't harm him. Reluctantly, Lu Ming asked, "Lin Jie, why are you taking me to the Civil Affairs Bureau?" To get married, of course. What else could we be doing there? Lu Ming thought she was joking, but the very next second, Lin Wan took out 2 household registration books from her bag. She opened one and waved it in front of Lu Ming's eyes. It was his own family's household registration book. Lu Ming was struck dumb. What? What is this? Does my mom owe you a huge debt? Did she sell me off? Lu Ming stammered, his mind racing for an explanation. How could that be? I'm good friends with your mom. Lin Wan laughed. She likes me a lot, so she gave me the household registration book so that after we finish the blind date, we can go directly to register for the marriage certificate. At that moment, Lu Ming was stunned. If it was a huge debt and his mom had sold him off, at least it would make some sense. But what was going on now? Was his mom really in such a hurry for him to get married? Even if she was in a rush, with his looks, was it really that hard to find a partner? Lin Jie, I told you, we really don't match. Lu Ming turned toward Lin Wan, his voice full of helplessness. Lin Wan put on an exaggerated, yet cute, angry expression. Why not? Do you think I'm not good enough? Lu Ming quickly shook his head. She ran a multi-billion-dollar company. Who would dare look down on her? Are you rejecting me because I'm too old? Or because I'm not pretty enough? Lin Wan asked next. At this, Lu Ming shook his head even more frantically. In his eyes, Lin Wan was even more beautiful than any celebrity. When he first entered the tea room at Yuyuan, he was completely captivated. Her beauty was different from Lin Ruyan's. If Lin Ruyan was like a daisy, youthful, vibrant, and blossoming towards the sun, then Lin Wan was like a peony, elegant, mature, sweet, and irresistibly exuding the charm of a woman in her prime. Lu Ming couldn't help but steal a glance at her. Earlier, when she was sitting at the table blocked his view, and he could only see her face. Now, Lin Wan was sitting so close to him. Her long black dress highlighted her graceful figure, and her fair skin made her look at least 10 years younger than her actual age. She looked like she was in her late 20s or early 30s, not at all like someone from his mother's generation. Being so close to her, Lu Ming could even smell a fragrance that was more enchanting than perfume. Visually and sensually overwhelmed, Lu Ming was momentarily lost. Not speaking? So you really think I'm too old and unattractive? Lu Ming snapped back to reality. You're beautiful. You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. He didn't try to deny it. He said exactly what was in his heart. Lin Wan's face flushed slightly upon hearing such a straightforward compliment, but then she furrowed her brows and asked seriously, then why do you think we're not a match? At this point, Lu Ming had no choice but to give a reason. He sighed and spoke with reluctance. Lin Jie, to be honest, you're amazing and beautiful, but there's still the issue of our age gap. Your daughter is almost my age. Lu Ming felt guilty as he added, and have you considered your daughter's feelings? She might not want to accept me. In Lu Ming's mind, with Lin Wan's looks and status, the age difference didn't matter, but the fact that she had a daughter was something he couldn't accept. He tried to soften the blow by adding, but I didn't mean to offend you. I'm just concerned about the situation with your daughter. Lin Wan, however, zeroed in on the key issue. I understand now. You're not worried about my age or whether my daughter will accept you. You're worried because I'm not perfect, aren't you? Being so bluntly called out made Lu Ming feel awkward. It was true. He did have a kind of mental purity and had never been in a relationship before. He was still untainted, and it bothered him that Lin Wan had been married and had a daughter. Lu Ming felt guilty as he realized he had been somewhat dismissive, though he hadn't meant to hurt anyone. But Lin Wan didn't seem upset at all. Instead, she laughed. You have a purity complex. I have it worse than you. Since I was little, I felt uncomfortable around the opposite sex if we got too close. Then what about me? You're fine. It was then that Lu Ming realized why Lin Wan was so insistent on him. His parents had always prohibited him from dating when he was young, and he had never been in a relationship. He was as pure as could be. And Lin Wan had just said that she couldn't interact with any men besides him. No wonder she had taken a liking to him. Wait. Lu Ming suddenly remembered something that didn't add up. Lin Wan had said that she had a purity complex and couldn't be close to the opposite sex, so how could she have a daughter like Lin Ruyan? Was the purity complex a lie to trick him? Lin Wan seemed to see right through him. Her eyes, sharp as if they could see into his thoughts, answered his unspoken question. Do you think I'm lying? I have a daughter this old, but I still claim to have a purity complex. Lu Ming nodded. He had to figure this out. Lin Wan chuckled lightly. I assure you, I haven't had a first time, yet. Chapter 3, The Beauty Acts Cute. When Lin Wan made her statement, Lu Ming was completely stunned. Could this be true? A woman with a hot body, exuding a captivating aura at all times, and she is still. Lin Wan continued speaking. This has never been a secret. Those who know me are aware that I've never been in a relationship. And my daughter was adopted from an orphanage. Lu Ming was taken aback. Lin Ruoyin was actually adopted. And such a beautiful woman like Lin Jie has stayed single all this time. Lin Wan thought Lu Ming still didn't believe her. Still don't believe me? Want to see the adoption certificate? Or you can ask your mom. She knows all about this. Otherwise, why would she be so willing to set us up for an arranged marriage? By now, Lu Ming was already convinced. There was no need for Lin Wan to deceive him. What she said must be true. If it were false, it would have been exposed by now. At this moment, the Rolls-Royce Spirit of Ecstasy pulled up at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Lin Wan looked directly at Lu Ming and said, "All right, we're here. I've made everything clear to you, and the thing you were most concerned about doesn't exist. Now, let me ask you one last time, will you go in and register our marriage?" Hearing this, Lu Ming fell into deep thought. In terms of conditions, Lin Wan possessed assets worth hundreds of billions. Marrying her would mean he'd never need to struggle financially again. In terms of appearance, she was the most beautiful woman Lu Ming had ever seen, easily making one overlook her age. Now, even the issue he was most concerned about, her not being a perfect body, had been resolved. So what was left to hesitate over? At this moment, all of Lu Ming's doubts vanished. He realized he was genuinely moved. Just then, a voice suddenly echoed in his mind. Please make your choice, host. 1. Reject Lin Wan and leave immediately. The system will disappear. 2. Marry Lin Wan and register, activating the system. System. Lu Ming was startled by the sudden sound but quickly realized what it was. As a 10-year veteran of reading books, he was all too familiar with this. This was his cheat. How could he just let it disappear? Without hesitation, he chose the second option, marry Lin Wan and register, activating the system. Even before the system was activated, Lu Ming had already been swayed. A beautiful woman with a perfect figure, a rich family, and who was only interested in him. Who could resist that? Lu Ming, you don't want to. Seeing Lu Ming remain silent for a long time, Lin Wan softly spoke. Lu Ming snapped out of his daze and looked up to see the sorrow and dejection in Lin Wan's eyes. Her entire demeanor had changed, becoming like a delicate water lily, making him feel immense sympathy. She really seems to like me. Lu Ming thought to himself. Do you really want to be with me? Lin Wan asked. Without missing a beat, she nodded eagerly. Good. Let us go register. After saying that, Lu Ming took Lin Wan's delicate hand and got out of the car. Half an hour later. When Lu Ming and Lin Wan walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, their hands were tightly intertwined, and both held a red booklet. That was the marriage certificate they had just obtained. At the same time, the system's notification echoed again in Lu Ming's mind. Congratulations, host. System activated. The God-level sugar baby system is now live. What? Sugar baby system? Lu Ming nearly stumbled when he heard the name. This sounded ridiculous. Even though he had seen many systems in novels, he had never heard of one like this. Generally, cheats would be something like earn money just by breathing, spend and get 10x rewards, or sign in to receive gifts. But sugar baby? Did it mean he was too handsome? This system is specifically tailored to their host's current identity and situation. It is the most suitable system for you. So, what does this system do? Lu Ming asked, feeling helpless but realizing that having a system was better than not having one at all. Any assets given to their host will increase by 10% daily. This rate will grow as their host levels up. When the assets given to their host reach a certain threshold, the system will issue rewards. After explaining, the system displayed a panel. God level sugar baby system. Level, LV1. Assets received, 0. Lu Ming's face darkened. What is this sugar baby system? This is basically living off a rich woman. It reminded him of the famous line, "The doctor says my stomach isn't too good, so I can only eat soft rice." Thinking about his current situation, Lu Ming couldn't help but laugh at the irony. The system really was intelligent. It had customized his cheat perfectly. He wasn't just eating soft rice, he was really living it up. Lu Ming couldn't help but think. Why did people criticize living off a rich woman? When you're young, you don't understand how good it is to be a sugar baby. Mistaking a young girl for a treasure. Lu Ming quickly did some rough calculations. He realized the system may sound like a joke, but it was actually incredibly powerful. As long as he kept living off a rich woman, his assets would keep growing, his level would increase, and the rate of increase would keep escalating. Who knows? One day, he might surpass everyone. Not to mention, there were rewards from the system. Excited, Lu Ming's heart raced. Why are you so quiet? Are you dazed? Lin Wan waved her hand in front of Lu Ming, noticing he had been lost in thought since they left the Civil Affairs Bureau. Lu Ming snapped out of it and looked around, realizing they had arrived at a beautiful place surrounded by nature. Lin Jie, where are we? Lu Ming asked, having been so distracted that he hadn't noticed the place they had arrived at. Upon hearing this, Lin Wan tightened her grip on his arm. Shouldn't you be changing how you address me now? Lu Ming awkwardly scratched his head, feeling completely out of his depth. Having never been in a relationship, he had just skipped the dating phase and registered for marriage with a woman he had known for less than a day. Now they were officially husband and wife. How could he suddenly call her wife? He had been calling her Lin Jie up until now, but how could he shift so quickly? I'm still not quite used to it. How about we talk about it later? Lu Ming tried to stall. But Lin Wan didn't agree. In the next moment, she threw herself into Lu Ming's arms, her body pressed against his, and she looked up at him with a watery gaze. No, I want it now. Please, okay? Lu Ming froze. Before he could react, the next bombshell dropped. Lin Wan began pressing herself against him wildly, murmuring. Good hubby, Lu Ming. We're legally married now, husband, husband, husband. You don't want me as your wife? Please, please, I want to hear it. Chapter 4, The Transformative Demon Girl. Lin Wan actually started to act like a coquettish person. She even begged for mercy in a delicate and pitiful voice, while her hot body kept moving around in Lu Ming's arms. At this moment, Lu Ming felt that his heart had melted. This Lin Wan is truly a changeable enchantress. Either elegant and charming, cold as an iceberg, or lively and smart. Each one brought Lu Ming a different experience. Surrender, surrender. If she continued to make such a fuss, Lu Ming would lose control. Okay, I promise you. Lu Ming quickly stopped Lin Wan. Lin Wan, feeling triumphant, raised her head and looked straight at Lu Ming. Wife. Hey, husband. As soon as Lu Ming spoke, Lin Wan responded to her immediately. At the same time, a big smile appeared on his face and he jumped up. Kissed Lu Ming on the face. Lu Ming was stunned for a moment. Just wanted to say something. But Lin Wan exclaimed, Hubby, you're blushing. I don't know what she is so excited about. Oh my god. Husband, are you shy? You are so pure. You are so cute when you are shy. You are like a little puppy. My little puppy husband, let my wife and sister see you, you are so cute, I love you so much. Lin Wan kept talking incoherently while constantly ravaging Lu Ming's face and hair. After Lu Ming forcibly stopped Lin Wan's little action, he was speechless. This wife doesn't look like she is older than him, she looks just like a child. Fortunately, after a while, Lin Wan stopped. After walking a little further, they arrived at the gate of a villa. At this time, a man in a suit had been waiting at the door for a long time. When he saw Lin Wan arriving, he hurried forward and said with a smile. Boss Lin, I'm He Dongqing, the general manager of Gudi Yinju. The villa purchase contract you asked me to prepare is ready. As he finished speaking, He Dongqing handed the contract in his hand to Lin Wan. After Lin Wan took it, she immediately passed it to Lu Ming and said softly, "Didn't you just ask where we are? After you sign the contract, this will be our home." He Dongqing, who was standing by, widened his eyes and was stunned when he heard this. Lin Wan, the head of Hongyan Group with a market value of hundreds of billions, is not only a very capable woman, but is also rumored to have never dated any man. More importantly, she is the only one in the Lin family at the moment. This means that whoever marries this beauty will also gain the wealth of the Lin family. It is a win-win situation for both wealth and beauty. Under such temptation, the number of people pursuing Lin Wan is endless, like a swarm of carp crossing the river. But no man has ever been able to get close to her. Even He Dongqing was still fantasizing today, wondering if he could use the opportunity of Lin Wan buying a villa to gain some face. What if you happen to be favored by her and win this admired beauty? Otherwise, as the general manager, he wouldn't have to make this difficult trip. But he never expected it. Lin Wan actually came with a handsome man. The two were holding hands. Moreover, Lin Wan's attitude towards this man was extremely gentle, without any trace of the arrogance and coldness she showed in the business world. It was as if she was in a lower position between the two parties and was trying to please the man. Even this villa was bought for this man. This is simply unbelievable. "Hubby, what are you standing there for? I promised you this after we get married, so sign it now. After signing, this place will be our home." He Dongqing felt as if he had been hit hard after hearing this. These two are already married. He was just guessing before, but now everything Lin Wan said revealed that the two of them had already registered and obtained their marriage certificate. This beautiful flower that so many people coveted was just plucked by this man. He Dongqing was so jealous. I felt very unconvinced. Judging from his clothes, the guy in front of me is just an ordinary boy. It's just that face, which is a little too handsome. He wished he could swap positions with Lu Ming, let Lu Ming be the general manager with an annual salary of 1 million, and he himself be a handsome young man and marry a beautiful woman. But He Dongqing didn't dare to reveal even a hint of these thoughts. He still bowed slightly and waited until Lu Ming signed the contract. I also tried hard to smile. "Welcome Mr. Lu to live in our hometown Yunju. If you need anything, please feel free to contact us." After dealing with the relevant matters, He Dongqing quickly said goodbye and left. It's really painful to feel such pain inside but have to put on a smiling face on the surface. Lu Ming and Lin Wan, who were immersed in joy, naturally didn't know this. Not long after Lu Ming signed, the system's voice sounded again in Lu Ming's mind. "Ding, congratulations to their host, for the first time you have been a gigolo, you have won a villa worth 46,800,000 yuan. Gene medicine as a reward. Ding, congratulations to their host, the assets obtained have exceeded 40 million, and the reward is 48% of the shares of Hongyan Group. Gene medicine and related files have been stored in the system space." Hearing this, Lu Ming couldn't help but get excited. I didn't expect the system's rewards to be so generous. His own assets have reached 46.8 million, an increase of 10%. This means that when you open your eyes tomorrow, I earned 4.68 million. It would take many years of not eating or drinking to earn this much money, but now you have made it to the sky in one go. If he wasn't afraid of being treated as a psycho by Lin Wan, who was by his side. Lu Ming was so angry that he almost jumped up. "Come on, let's go in and take a look." Lin Wan took Lu Ming's hand and walked into their villa to tour together. Lin Wan told them that the green spaces, lakes, groves, etc. that they had just walked into were also within the villa and belonged to the villa's outer garden. This can be said to be a small manor. The greenery is so luxurious, not to mention the luxury of the villa. The villa has everything Lu Ming could think of and couldn't think of. It really amazed him. The life of rich people is unimaginable to ordinary people. After a quick tour of half an hour, they sat on the sofa and rested. Lin Wan huddled close to Lu Ming. "Honey, how about this villa? Do you like it?" "I like it." Lu Ming nodded and said, "Who wouldn't like such a luxurious villa? Then you have to give me some reward." Lin Wan blinked her eyes with a sly smile. Lu Ming was completely confused after hearing this. "We don't have anything comparable to such an expensive villa, and we don't have anything to show off. But then see you again." Lin Wan pouted her crystal clear little mouth, moving it back and forth. "Like this. Even if Lu Ming had never eaten meat, he had seen pigs run, so of course he knew what to do. Looking at Lin Wan's small and delicate lips, Lu Ming couldn't help but rush forward with his heart beating faster. The two of them kissed awkwardly until they couldn't breathe. Chapter 5. Your son. What? Lin Wan, that beautiful lady, was captured by someone. Is this true? You've got the certificate. This is such explosive news. So many big shots' dreams will be shattered. Who on earth is this person? The news that Lin Wan had married a man and obtained a marriage certificate quickly spread in all major circles. The source of all this was naturally He Dongqing, who was present at the time, and the relevant staff who spread the news from person to person. It is human nature to gossip. In just a few days, those who had always coveted Lin Wan soon learned the news. Bang! A rebellious-looking young man broke into He Dongqing's office. Who? He Dongqing was in a bad mood and was about to curse when he saw someone barging into the office without saying hello. But when he looked up and saw the person coming, he immediately swallowed back his words. The young man ignored He Dongqing and walked past him. Then he sat directly on his office chair, leaned back and put his feet on the cabinet. He Dongqing didn't dare to say anything. Mr. Wang, how come you have time to come to the company today? Faced with the other party's arrogant behavior, He Dongqing didn't dare to do anything and had to greet him humbly. Who said the visitor was Wang Yaolin, the president of Qingshan Real Estate Company and the son of the largest shareholder. She is the owner of the company, and he is just an employee. Even if you become the general manager, you still have to leave the company at the drop of a hat. All their hard work over the years has gone to waste. Could it be that I went to specifically receive Lin Wan's order and offended this young master, so he is here to hold me accountable? He Dongqing was a little nervous because everyone knew that Wang Yaolin was pursuing Lin Wan. But he suddenly had a stupid idea and thought of taking advantage of this reception opportunity to win over Lin Wan. It is very likely that Wang Yaolin came to cause trouble for him because of this. Thinking of this, He Dongqing felt a chill on his back. What's up with that guy named Lu Ming? Wang Yaolin asked calmly, without any emotion in his voice. He didn't say anything about He Dongqing's little thoughts. In his opinion, there was no need to do so. People of He Dongqing's status and position are like ants in his eyes. How can such a low-level person want to take down Lin Wan? That's just wishful thinking. He came here this time entirely because he received the news that Lin Wan was getting married to a man named Lu Ming. When He Dongqing saw that he was not held accountable, he breathed a sigh of relief as if he had walked out of the gates of hell and quickly spoke. I heard it with my own ears, Master Wang. Lin Wan said this was a wedding gift for Lu Ming. Other staff members nearby also heard it at the time, so I asked them to come and testify. No. Wang Yaolin shook his head. What is the origin of this Lu Ming? He Dongqing looked embarrassed. He didn't know this Lu Ming at all. It was the first time he met such a person last time. Well, young Master Wang, I don't know either. I've never heard of this person in the circle. Wang Yaolin cursed immediately after hearing this. Useless. What's the use of you if you don't know anything? He Dongqing lowered his head silently and dared not answer. Roll. Faced with Wang Yaolin's dismissal, He Dongqing felt as if he had been pardoned and hurried out of his office. After He Dongqing left, Wang Yaolin walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. His face was gloomy and he was very angry. As Lin Wan's pursuer for many years, he knew Lin Wan very well and knew how high her standards were. Who on earth is this Lu Ming and how could he be favored by Lin Wan? Thinking about how he had tried so hard to pursue Lin Wan over the years, and how he had pretended to be a gentleman and rejected so many women, in the end, Lin Wan was actually taken by a man who came out of nowhere. Wang Yaolin was furious. I want to see who this Lu Ming is. How dare you steal my woman? I will never let you off easily. And just when Wang Yaolin was furious, Lu Ming and Lin Wan have moved into Guli and started living together. On the sofa. My dear, why is your face so red? It's a little hot. Lu Ming withdrew his gaze and looked directly at the TV in front of him. Lin Wan, who was wearing black silk pajamas, suddenly leaned over and said with a smile on her face. You feel hot all over when you see me, right? Lu Ming was a little overwhelmed. It's too hot. I'm going to take a shower first. He quickly found an excuse and prepared to escape. During these days of living together, Lin Wan's constant obscene words made him really uncomfortable. When Lin Wan heard about taking a bath, her eyes lit up. With a sly smile. "You, what are you doing in here? Let's wash together." He. Night. In the bedroom of the villa. Lu Ming and Lin Wan lay on the bed covered with quilts. Lin Wan seemed to see through Lu Ming's thoughts and explained. "My dear husband, we are already married. Don't worry, they will always treat you well." Confused, Lu Ming nodded, that made sense. "But my husband can't tell that you look thin when you're dressed, but you have flesh when you're undressed. These muscles are quite strong," Lin Wan said while touching Lu Ming's muscular lines. "I usually exercise." Lu Ming felt a little guilty. Although he was not fat, the muscles on his body were transformed by drinking the genetic potion rewarded by the system. After getting the genetic medicine, he took the time to drink it. Products produced by the system must be high quality. After drinking the potion, Lu Ming clearly felt some changes in his body. At the same time, his physique and strength became much stronger. The two of them chatted back and forth. Bell. At this moment, the cell phone suddenly rang. Lu Ming picked it up and took a look, and instantly thought of something. "I was so startled that I almost dropped the phone onto the bed." The person who called through the video was actually his mother. Li Yuru. The video call kept ringing, and Lu Ming didn't dare to hang up, so he had to pick it up. After connected, Li Yuru's figure had not yet appeared, but her voice had arrived first. "You little bastard. You didn't even go home after the blind date. Where did you go?" "Mom, oh, this." Lu Ming squeaked and hummed, not knowing what to say. But Li Yuru in the video found something wrong. "You little bastard, why are you not wearing any clothes?" Hearing this, Lu Ming was dumbfounded. "Is my mom's eyes so sharp that she saw me when I didn't hold the phone steady?" For a moment, Lu Ming really didn't know how to explain. At this time, Lin Wan next to her spoke up. "Sister, are you?" Lin Wan took Lu Ming's phone and appeared in Li Yuru's sight. Seeing Lin Wan's rosy face and Lu Ming's shirtless face, Li Yuru, as an experienced person, immediately understood. Lin Wan also continued. "Sister, are you? Lu Ming and I have registered our marriage." "Very good." Li Yuru burst out laughing. She also didn't expect that her son was so powerful and could win Lin Wan so quickly. "Sister, what do you think of my son?" Li Yuru's gossip soul is burning. Lin Wan thought seriously for a while and then said shyly. "Lu Ming." Chapter 6, Too Much. As soon as Lin Wan said this, both Lu Ming next to her and Li Yuru on the other end of the video were stunned. For a while, "I don't know what to say." Lu Ming slapped his forehead, speechless. "I didn't marry a stupid wife, did I? How can you say such a lewd thing casually? Is this something that the head of a 100 billion yuan group can say? Is this what the legendary woman in love means by having an IQ of 0? In the end, it was Lu Ming who grabbed the phone. "I want to make up for it and explain something. Mom, Wana. Okay, stop talking. You are both adults and a legal couple. This is nothing." Before Lu Ming could finish his words, he was interrupted by Li Yuru. Li Yuru continued speaking. "You even called me Wana, which means you two get along well, so I feel relieved. But I still have to say one thing, you have to be nice to Lin Wan. Don't do anything to let her down, or I won't have you as my son." Lu Ming's face turned red. Although this kind of thing was legal and reasonable, it was really embarrassing in front of his mother. "I will." Lu Ming nodded and said. After talking to Lu Ming, control of the video was handed over to Lin Wan. The two women began to chat. Lu Ming couldn't get a word in and could only listen quietly. The two of them started out chatting about trivial things around them, then moved on to gossip, love affairs, cosmetics and jewelry. Finally, the topic turned to Lu Ming and Lin Wan. "When will the banquet be held? When to have a child? What your child is called will determine what he will learn in the future." They chatted for more than half an hour, making Lu Ming drowsy. Lu Ming. Finally, he came to his senses after hearing Li Yuru's roar. "Sister Lin, I'm very happy that you can become my daughter-in-law. Today, I'm going to make this clear. If Lu Ming treats you badly, tell me anytime. I will teach him a lesson. Li Yuru and Lin Wan made the promise, but their eyes warned Lu Ming fiercely. It seemed like he was talking to Lin Wan, but in fact he was warning Lu Ming. Li Yuru was really worried that her child wouldn't be able to resist the temptation. My child Lu Ming has been handsome since he was young. When it grows up, it stands out from millions of people. He has sharp eyebrows and bright eyes, and a handsome appearance that is as sharp as a knife. Just like the reader. If I hadn't suppressed him severely, and if he hadn't been so stupid, I don't know how many young girls he would have harmed over the years. That's why Li Yuru was so anxious to arrange a blind date for Lu Ming. I'm afraid that Lu Ming will be like a wild horse that has broken free from its reins, unable to be controlled and will do whatever he wants. After hearing what Li Yuru said, Lu Ming looked unhappy. Is this his own mother? Why does she seem to favor her daughter-in-law in every word? If we have a quarrel in the future, no one will be willing to take me back to my parents' home. I'm afraid you didn't adopt him. Fortunately, Lin Wan's words warmed Lu Ming's heart. No, Sister Yuru, I believe in Lu Ming, he's a very good person. As Lin Wan spoke, she showed a happy smile. Finally, the two said a few more words and hung up the phone. After hanging up the phone, Lin Wan looked at Lu Ming beside her with a dejected look on her face. He put his hands around Lu Ming's face, rubbed it and said, "What's wrong? My dear husband is unhappy." Lu Ming pretended to be angry and complained unhappily. You and my mom chat so well, I'm afraid she'll kick me out of the house. Looking at Lu Ming's aggrieved look, Lin Wan couldn't help but laugh, blinked her eyes, put her arms around Lu Ming, and started to act coquettishly. No, my husband is not angry. I will make it up to you. At the same time, he kissed Lu Ming's face crazily. This time, being treated like this by Lin Wan. There wasn't much material left for two people to cover themselves with under the quilt. That's right. Lin Wan suddenly remembered something. She took out a bank card from her bag and handed it to Lu Ming. There's 5 million in this card, spend it first and buy whatever you like. I will deposit money into it regularly. As Lin Wan's husband, you will never be short of money. Lu Ming thought of it immediately. This was the pocket money that Lin Wan promised to give her during the blind date, but she gave so much at once. Lu Ming didn't feel embarrassed and took it. Oh my God. It smells really good. What is not manly and what is not dignified? All of you go away. Who wouldn't he want a wife who loves you so much and gives you so much money? Really? The system's voice immediately rang in Lu Ming's mind. Ding, congratulations to their host, you have won 5 million yuan. Your assets have officially exceeded 50 million. Reward, God-level cooking skills. Hiss. A large amount of information was instilled into Lu Ming's mind, making him feel a little uncomfortable. But it passed quickly. The God-level skills rewarded by the system instantly turned Lu Ming into a world-class chef. Lu Ming felt that he was now familiar with kitchen matters. This made him feel pretty good. After all, he is already married, and it is good to have this skill. God-level little white face system. Level, LV1. Property earned, 51,800,000 yuan. Skills, God-level cooking. Lu Ming looked at his latest panel when suddenly a voice came from beside him. GU. When I looked over, I saw that it was actually coming from Lin Wan's belly. Lin Wan hid away embarrassedly. Lu Ming smiled and put his hand on his smooth belly and said, "My wife is hungry." Of course I'm hungry. I've been going through so much trouble this day and consumed so much energy. Hearing this, Lu Ming objected. It's obviously all my fault, you don't have to do anything. Logically speaking, I am the one who consumes more energy. I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. Lin Wan covered her ears and acted like a spoiled child in bed. Lu Ming watched this scene without saying anything, his eyes full of love. Then, he just put on a pair of shorts, got up and walked outside. Hubby, where are you going? Lin Wan poked her head out from under me, looking adorable. My baby is hungry, so of course I have to get food. I'm going too. Lin Wan jumped out of the bed. Be careful, your body hasn't recovered yet. Lu Ming scolded her sweetly, but Lin Wan did not reply. She followed Lu Ming like a little wife and walked towards the kitchen. The kitchen of the villa is open, and Lin Wan sits on the sofa opposite. She didn't go over to help, in fact she knew nothing about cooking. So Lin Wan just stared at Lu Ming in the kitchen. She felt that she loved the man in front of her even more. Chapter 7, Begging for Mercy. Although they had only been together for a short time and had only been married for a short time, she could see how outstanding the man in front of her was. It's not because she has been single for too long and is too lonely, nor is it because the other person is so handsome. But because he was good to me. Lin Wan was very glad that she had managed to get such a good man. Just like that, Lin Wan became more and more fascinated as she watched, her eyes always on Lu Ming. While cooking, Lu Ming noticed that Lin Wan was looking at him. "Why are you looking at me all the time?" Lin Wan came back to her senses and responded, "Because you are handsome." "That's a good reason." "I know he's handsome." Lin Wan was amused by Lu Ming's words. Then he was silent for a while, and suddenly became anxious and asked, "Will we always be together?" Hearing this question, Lu Ming regained his composure and spoke seriously after thinking for a while. "If you never leave me, I will stay with you through life and death." Lu Ming felt that this sentence was his most sincere voice at this moment. Lin Wan's heart trembled. Lu Ming's words struck her deeply in the heart. The gloom that had just appeared in her eyes disappeared instantly, and the sun became bright again. My heart felt as sweet as if it were covered with honey, and my mouth opened involuntarily. He stood up and came behind Lu Ming. Hug Lu Ming tightly. Smell Lu Ming's scent carefully. "Lu Ming, I love you so much." Lu Ming was stunned. He put down the kitchen utensils in his hand and turned Lin Wan around. He held Lin Wan's face in his hands and looked at her tenderly. "Will you marry me?" As soon as these words came out, Lin Wan was stunned. Then his eyes became welled up and tears began to fall. This was Lu Ming's formal confession and proposal for the first time. Even though they were married, they slept together. But it all happened too fast, skipping many of the steps that normal people take to get married. Feelings also require a sense of ritual. And girls value these the most. Although Lu Ming could ignore all this and live a simple life in the future. But he still wanted to make up for it all and let Lin Wan feel his love. And facing Lu Ming's affectionate confession, Lin Wan laughed and cried and gave her own answer. "I do." Lu Ming lowered his head, and the two of them kissed passionately. They both stopped until they couldn't breathe anymore. "Okay, just fry some vegetables and you can eat." "Aha." Lin Wan, who had left Lu Ming's arms, nodded obediently. He stepped aside and looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming picked up the kitchen utensils aside and put the prepared ingredients into the wok. He flipped the pan with his left hand and stir-fried with his right hand, occasionally picking up some seasoning from the side and sprinkling it casually. Everything goes smoothly, as if the god of cooking is possessed. All of this seemed so charming to Lin Wan, who was standing by. Although part of the reason is because of Lu Ming's handsomeness. But what was more impressive was Lu Ming's smooth and perfect movements. The cooking process is like a dazzling acrobatics, which makes people feel very satisfied when watching it to the end. It was not until Lu Ming had put the dishes on the plates that Lin Wan could not help but speak. "Hubby, I didn't expect you could cook. And you cook so well. It's so beautiful, I'll never get tired of watching it for the rest of my life." She had been holding back for fear of disturbing the scene in front of her, and only exclaimed in amazement after Lu Ming had finished. Lu Ming was a little confused. Is there anything good about cooking? What's the point of looking good? What's most important is that it tastes good. Let's get ready to eat. Yeah. Let me help you. Lin Wan, who had not contributed anything to the cooking, consciously prepared to serve the dishes to the table. But at this moment, Lin Wan was careless for a moment and her hand directly touched the cooking pot. Hissar! With a scream, Lin Wan's hand was immediately scalded and a hot blister formed. Lu Ming quickly grabbed the burned hand and said with concern, "Does it hurt?" "Pain." Lin Wan almost cried. "It's okay, I'll help you deal with it." Lu Ming comforted her and then found a medicine box. Carefully prick the blister and squeeze out the water immediately. Then carefully disinfect the wound, apply medicine and bandage it. During the process, Lu Ming kept his head down and treated the wound carefully. But look at it from Lin Wan's perspective. Looking at Lu Ming's godly profile, who was concentrating on taking care of herself, a warm feeling rose in her heart. I seem to have changed. In the past time, Lin Wan was fighting alone during this process. No matter what kind of hurt she suffered, she would lick her wounds silently and bear it alone. She supported Hongyan Group, a company worth hundreds of billions, and made her a legendary woman in the business world. And now, she found that she was no longer the cold female president. In front of Lu Ming, she loves to laugh, cry and act like a spoiled child. When my hand gets burned, the first person I think of is Lu Ming, hoping to get his care. Now she has become a woman who wants to be favored by Lu Ming. Realized this. Lin Wan was delighted. She enjoyed this feeling. Although she was a domineering boss, she was also a woman. Okay, let's eat. Aren't you hungry? After treating their wound, Lu Ming took Lin Wan's hand and sat at the dining table. Looking at her lover beside her and the delicious food, Lin Wan was in a good mood. I couldn't wait to pick up the chopsticks and picked up a rib. This is so delicious. Put the ribs in your mouth and chew them lightly. Lin Wan instantly felt a surge of extreme deliciousness. Her taste buds had never experienced such a feeling before. With Lin Wan's status and wealth, what kind of restaurant has she not eaten at? She has eaten at many Michelin restaurants abroad and clubs that claim to serve private dishes cooked by royal chefs. But she felt that those were not as delicious as what her husband was cooking at that moment. Honey, you are amazing. This is the most delicious food I have ever eaten. Lin Wan kept picking up the food on the table with her chopsticks, like a happy little hamster. That's not so exaggerated. Maybe you're hungry. Although Lu Ming said this, he was actually surprised by his current cooking skills. The god-level cooking skills rewarded by the system are indeed extraordinary. If he were to participate in a cooking competition, I guess there would be few people in the world who could be his rivals. Lu Ming and Lin Wan enjoyed this delicious meal to their heart's content. Just a moment. Lu Ming noticed that Lin Wan on the opposite side started to become dishonest. Maybe I've eaten enough. Start eating less seriously. He would frequently stretch his legs over to amuse himself. We're eating, don't mess around. After Lu Ming gave a warning, Lin Wan continued to do as she pleased and continued to use her feet to cause trouble under the table. There was a smirk on his face. This made Lu Ming decide to teach her a lesson. He no longer paid attention to Lin Wan, allowing her to relax her guard. When she reached out again, just grab it. Lin Wan's jade feet. Then start tickling the soles of her feet. Har 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 har. It's so itchy. Hubby, I don't dare anymore. Woohoo stinky hubby. Chapter 8 Mom found a father for you. Lu Ming played with her for a while, and only let her go after seeing Lin Wan begging for mercy. You don't eat well. Humph, you'll dare to do it again next time. What did you say? No, no. Lin Wan pouted, shook her head and pretended to surrender. But I made up my mind to do the same thing next time, but I would be careful not to get caught. There was no more Lin Wan's teasing. The meal was finished quickly. After cleaning up the dishes, the two returned to the bedroom. Bell. At this time, the cell phone suddenly rang. Lin Wan picked up the phone, and Lu Ming beside her also glanced at it subconsciously. But this glance made Lu Ming's heart suddenly skip a beat. Because the caller note displayed on the phone screen was clearly her daughter. Lin Wan's daughter. Lin Ruyan. The scene of his first meeting with Lin Ruyan immediately emerged in Lu Ming's mind. At the school gate to welcome new students, Lin Ruyan pulled her suitcase and walked into the campus with light steps. It was Lu Ming who received her at that time. When they first met Lin Ruyan, she was still polite and kept people at a distance. But later, as she joined the student union, she had more contact with Lu Ming. The relationship between the two has made rapid progress. But hello. At this time, Lin Wan answered the phone. Mom. Lin Ruyan's voice came from the other end of the phone. What's the matter, Yin Yin? Is there anything wrong? Mom, can't I call you if there's nothing wrong? I missed you so much that I called you. Did you miss me? Hearing Lin Ruyan say this, Lu Ming was shocked. He had never heard Lin Ruyan speak in such a delicate and soft way. In his impression, Lin Ruyan was still so cold even when he became close to her. His words were always indifferent, rarely containing any emotion. But the voice on the phone just now. This made Lu Ming think of Lin Wan. Although Lin Ruyan is not Lin Wan's biological daughter, the two are so similar. In front of outsiders, Lin Wan is the aloof female president and Lin Ruyan is the cool school beauty. But in front of their relatives and lovers, they are such cute and delicate little women. While Lu Ming was surprised, the two started chatting. My dear daughter, of course mom misses you too. You haven't called me for a long time. I'm calling you right now, and National Day is coming soon. Then I can go home to see you. Lin Wan said immediately when she heard that her daughter was about to come home. Really? I just wanted to tell you some good news. It just so happens that you are coming back soon. I will introduce you to each other then. What? Lin Ruyan was confused. You have a daddy? Clang. As soon as these words came out, Lu Ming's brain seemed to be shaken. Have I become Lin Ruyan's father? It seems that this is the truth. The recent events were really too unbelievable, and he had been immersed in Lin Wan's gentleness. Completely forgotten. Once he marries Lin Wan, his relationship with Lin Ruyan will also undergo a drastic change. From being senior and junior students, and close friends, to being strangers who each went their separate ways, and finally to where we are now. Become her father. It's totally off the mark. Who could have thought of this? At the same time, Lu Ming couldn't help but worry. If Lin Ruyan knew that I had become her father, how would she react? Would you object? What should we do then? And at this time, a very surprised voice came from Lin Wan's cell phone. Really? Mom, have you found someone you like? Who is he? Tell me quickly. I want to see what kind of man can melt this iceberg of my mother. From the phone call, Lin Ruyan's words and the emotions expressed in them. It can be seen. As Lin Wan's daughter, Lin Ruyan doesn't want to see her mother live out her life alone, and still hopes that she can find someone she truly loves. So when he heard Lin Wan say that she had a father, he didn't object and was even happy for her. However, in Lu Ming's opinion, all of this is based on the fact that Lin Ruyan still doesn't know that she is the father that Lin Wan found for her. Facing Lin Ruyan's question, Lin Wan said gently, "You will know when you come back, then you will know each other. I'll tell you in secret, he's very handsome." After saying this, Lin Wan glanced at Lu Ming and continued. "And we have already registered our marriage and live together." After these words were spoken, Lin Ruyan on the other end of the phone fell silent, obviously shocked. "Yin, you may not be able to accept this now. But my mom really felt like she was the one for me." After hearing what Lin Wan said, Lin Ruyan finally spoke. "It's a little fast, but I still believe in my mother. My mother is a legendary female president in the business world. How could her vision be bad? The man you praised so highly must be very outstanding, for you to marry and live with him so quickly." Lin Ruyan's words made Lin Wan very relieved. She is indeed my good daughter. But he also spoke again to give a warning. "There is one more thing, Mom will tell you first." When Lin Ruyan heard this, she took a deep breath and prepared herself mentally. Lin Wan's words were more explosive than the last, and she was worried that Lin Wan would reveal some shocking news again. After getting ready, "Mom, tell me." Lin Wan said shyly, "That's right, well, your father is not very old. Not very big. How big is that?" Lin Ruyan was a little confused. She prepared herself mentally for a long time, and this is what her mother said when she took over? Age issue? If you truly love each other, age is not a problem. Only 2 or 3 years older than you. As soon as these words came out, Lin Ruyan on the other end of the phone screamed. "What? Almost as old as me? Mom! You are kidding." She originally thought that as long as her mother truly liked the child, age and other issues would not be a problem. But I didn't expect Lin Wan to find someone so young. This frightened him to death. He was only 2 or 3 years older than her, and she still had to call him dad. How could she call him that? "Mom, don't joke with me." Lin Ruyan asked again. She held on to the last glimmer of hope in her heart, hoping that it was just a joke or that Lin Wan was wrong. But the facts are the facts. "Yin, Mom is not kidding you, this is true." Suddenly, Lin Ruyan was silent on the other end of the phone. "Yin, why don't you say anything? do you feel it's inappropriate? Lin Ruyan did not respond. Yin, I know it may be hard for you to accept it for a while. But I'm sorry, this has become a fact. Mom loves him very much, and I hope you can support my choice. Chapter 9. It's nice to have a man. After Lin Wan finished speaking, there was still no response from the other end of the phone. I had no choice but to hang up the phone. This matter is indeed a little difficult for Lin Ruyan to accept, so it is better to give her some time to calm down. Afterwards, Lu Ming and Lin Wan were silent for a while. They had already anticipated Lin Ruyan's reaction. Especially Lu Ming. He had long thought that this matter would not be so easy to get over. After all, you have to call someone who is only 2 or 3 years older than you dad. Who can accept this? But what made Lu Ming more worried was, Lin Ruyan doesn't he know yet that her father is her former senior brother, Lu Ming? Lu Ming couldn't help but feel sorry for Lin Ruyan for 3 seconds. After she finally accepted that her mother had found a father who was about her age. Then they had to accept the explosive news that this person was Lu Ming. By then, Lin Ruyan shouldn't have a mental breakdown. Husband, do you think Yin can accept this? Lin Wan looked melancholy at this moment. Although she is an independent person, she is still the president who has the final say. No one can change the decision he made, not even his daughter Lin Ruyan. But in Lin Wan's heart, she still hoped that her daughter would support her choice and wish her and Lu Ming to be together. Take your time, our situation is indeed a bit of a shock to her, just wait until she thinks it through. Lu Ming hugged Lin Wan, patted her back gently and said, "Why?" Lin Wan in his arms was obviously still in a bad mood, with a sad face. Lu Ming decided to tease her. "Don't be unhappy. Just because your daughter doesn't accept me, will you stop being with me?" Hearing this, Lin Wan jumped up from Lu Ming's arms like a startled rabbit. Shaking his head, "Of course not. That's fine, nothing can stop us from being together. She is your daughter, so naturally she hopes the best for you. As long as we love each other well and prove that we truly love each other, she will accept me sooner or later." Yes. Lin Wan was moved by Lu Ming's remarks. Gradually, Lin Wan's mood began to improve. She kept her whole body pressed against Lu Ming, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of love. But Lin Ruyan on the other side was furious. After hanging up the phone, Lin Ruyan couldn't hold back any longer and let out a scream of venting. Yin, what are you doing? You scared us to death." The roommates in the dormitory were suddenly startled by Lin Ruyan's scream. "Why don't you speak?" When the roommates saw Lin Ruyan scream and then no reaction, they quickly came to her side. At this moment, Lin Ruyan looked as if she was in great pain. This is exactly what happened to Lin Ruyan, who was unable to accept what her mother said and was mentally devastated. Yin, speak up. Is this a sickness? Are you okay? Why don't you go to the hospital? Faced with the concern of her roommates, Lin Ruyan finally responded. "I'm fine, it's just." Lin Ruyan, who was in desperate need of comfort, told her roommates their whole story. And after listening, Lin Ruyan's roommates were all stunned. This is beyond their scope of understanding. If there is anything else, they can also give advice or help complain. But this kind of thing, it's too magical. If they were in his place, they would also collapse and not know what to do. There was even a roommate who looked a little silly and suspected that he had heard it wrong, so he emphasized it again. "If I heard correctly, your mother found you a father who is about your age." He stabbed Lin Ruyan's heart again. But Lin Ruyan had no choice but to nod bitterly and admit it. "No wonder even someone as cold as you broke down. No one would be able to accept such a thing. Isn't your mother a cold and aloof female CEO? Why is she not sober? Yeah, I don't understand what Auntie is doing. Girls' thoughts are always more mature than boys. In their view, boys who are 2 or 3 years older than them are at best recent graduates. If one's family is not well off, this is when one has just entered the bottom of the workplace. They would not accept such a man as their boyfriend. Not to mention being my own father." Several roommates put themselves in the other's shoes and immediately felt uncomfortable. So, I felt even more distressed for Lin Ruyan. But as Lin Ruyan's roommates, seeing how depressed she was, they naturally couldn't say anything bad. "We must think of some way to comfort Lin Ruyan, otherwise it will be bad for her health if she continues like this." So several people started to explain. Yin, think positively. Things may not be that simple. Yes, you know best what kind of person your mother is. She has such high standards, so the person she chooses must be right. Maybe he is very capable. Don't think too much about it. You will know when you get home and take a look. Yes. Your mother would definitely not like ordinary people. After these words, Lin Ruyan's originally dull eyes finally showed a hint of color. That makes sense. With my mother's conditions, there are countless wealthy young men pursuing her, but she didn't like any of them. They got married so quickly this time, so this person must be extraordinary, otherwise my mother would definitely not like him. Seeing that Lin Ruyan had returned to normal, her roommates finally felt relieved. Yeah. We'll have holidays in a few days. Then you can go home and visit. Maybe you will see the excellence of that man and accept it in your heart. The more they talked, the more curious Lin Ruyan became. What kind of man could actually conquer his cold and arrogant CEO mother? This made her eager to go home. And just as Lin Ruyan was looking forward to it, Lu Ming, who was lying on the bed holding Lin Wan, couldn't help but feel a little worried. He also heard that Lin Ruyan would go home for vacation in a few days. I wonder if Lin Ruyan will go crazy when we meet. Amidst the anxiety and fear, Lu Ming slowly fell asleep. The nightlight is like water. The next day, Lu Ming woke up from his dream. I vaguely felt that someone was watching me. After opening my eyes, I found that Lin Wan had woken up at some point. At the same time, his eyes were fixed on himself, scanning his face back and forth. It's like admiring a rare treasure. Seeing Lu Ming wake up, Lin Wan immediately gave Lu Ming a passionate good morning kiss. Good morning, husband. After saying that, she hugged Lu Ming's arm tightly. Being hugged like this, Lu Ming could immediately feel Lin Wan's broad mind. Their well-rested body immediately showed some reactions. Good morning, why did you wake up so early? Not used to it. Didn't sleep well. Lin Wan quickly shook her head. After all these years, I am so happy to have a man to sleep with. Chapter 10, The 100 Billion Hongyan Group. Lin Wan looked energetic, but the dark circles under her eyes could not escape Lu Ming's keen eyes. Could it be that Lin Wan didn't sleep for long last night, or didn't sleep at all? Lu Ming gently placed his big hands on Lin Wan's eye sockets and gave her an eye massage. Said with a hint of heartache. Don't do this again in the future, and sleep well. A good rest will keep you healthy. As he spoke, he pushed Lin Wan down and let him lie on the bed to continue resting. When Lin Wan heard this, she felt a warm feeling in her heart. Lu Ming's concern and care made him very happy. It's okay, I was a little excited last night, I was too energetic. I feel like I can watch you all night long while watching my husband. The more I watch, the more energetic and excited I become. And I'm used to it, so I don't need to sleep too long. Staying up late is a common occurrence for Lin Wan. As the person in charge of a trillion-dollar company, the burden of the group lies on her. Although she doesn't have to worry about small matters, once there is a big matter that needs her to solve, it may take her several sleepless days and nights. So she has long been accustomed to staying up late. The biggest fear of staying up late is not physical fatigue, but psychological loneliness. In the past, she didn't care about her physical fatigue after working late into the night. But in the middle of the night, the loneliness of being alone looking at the lights of thousands of homes was the fear that made him grit his teeth. Every time that happened, even with her strong heart, she almost collapsed. And now, she has Lu Ming by her side. A man who accompanies her late at night. Whether he was awake or asleep, at night, being beside him and listening to his breathing as he slept made Lin Wan feel a strong sense of security and happiness. The loneliness I felt late at night in the past will no longer appear. Even if you don't sleep, you won't feel mentally tired, and your mood will be sunny and full of hope. Lin Wan felt that she was not sleepy at all and rejected Lu Ming's suggestion to catch up on some sleep. No, I'm not sleepy. Let's get up quickly, we have to go out later. Lu Ming was successfully distracted by Lin Wan and stopped urging her to catch up on her sleep. And asked, Are you going out? Where are you going? I won't tell you. You'll know soon. Lu Ming didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Seeing that Lin Wan really didn't look sleepy, he gave up the idea of letting her catch up on her sleep. I got up and planned to wash up. Just at this moment, the system's voice suddenly rang in Lu Ming's mind. Ding! Daily asset increase reward has arrived. Lu Ming was delighted. I quickly picked up my phone, and sure enough, a text message popped up saying my bank account had arrived. 5,180,000 yuan was transferred into your account 7688 at 10:05 on September 21st. Account balance, 5,260,045.03 yuan. In this way, my cash exceeded 10 million. Based on the 10% increase, he received a total of 5.18 million in cash today. The tens of thousands of dollars he had saved over the years were almost negligible, and coupled with the 5 million given by Lin Wan, he now had a full 10 million in cash to spend. Don't think that 10 million cash doesn't sound like a lot, but this is real cash. Not assets. Even some wealthy people who claim to have family assets of over 100 million may not have 10 million in cash to squander. Assets are assets and cash is cash, and the two should not be confused. This moment, Lu Ming couldn't help but feel a little excited. 10 million. An average person will never earn this much money in their entire lifetime. Lu Ming had never had so much money before. Although he had a system after marrying Lin Wan, he would have more and more money in the future, even to the point where he would have too much to spend and too much to count. But at this moment, Lu Ming was really happy. Oh, right. Don't I have a company share awarded by the system? Lu Ming suddenly rang out. When his assets exceeded 40 million, the system rewarded him with 48% of the company's shares. The relevant files have been lying quietly in the system space. Life has been so blissful lately that Lu Ming almost forgot about it. Only the genetic medicine that enhanced combat power was remembered by Lu Ming, and he took it before going to bed, while the file was left gathering dust in the space. Immediately, Lu Ming took out the file from the system space. Hongyan Group. Lu Ming took a look at the company name. He then picked up his phone and searched for information about Hongyan Group. This check. Lu Ming was shocked. The headline information that came out of the search was that Hongyan Group's annual revenue last year reached 58.6 billion. You know, Lin Wan Group, as a listed company with a market value of 100 billion yuan, has an annual revenue of only 40 billion yuan. So, Hongyan Group is even more powerful than Lin Wan's Group? It turns out that the system rewards are the big part. Both genetic medicine and Hongyan Group are good things. Lu Ming continued to check some relevant information. It was discovered that Hongyan Group is essentially an investment company whose investment business scope is extremely wide, covering many lucrative industries such as finance, real estate, trade, technology, and medicine. And most importantly, although Hongyan Group is held by multiple parties, the current largest shareholder only holds 18% of the shares. That means that Lu Ming currently holds 48% of the shares and is the largest shareholder of Hongyan Group. Lu Ming couldn't help but be shocked. The system is really powerful. I don't know how it acquired many scattered shares for itself. If Lin Wan wasn't in the room, Lu Ming wanted to shout, "Everyone stand up!" But he was wrong, the system was awesome. Originally, Lu Ming thought that he was already very satisfied with having 10 million in cash and living in a villa worth 50 million. It turns out that the system had already given me a big gift. I am still too easily satisfied. What are tens of millions? A company with an annual revenue of over 50 billion and a market value of at least 100 billion, the system will give it away as soon as it says so. Arrogant. Too arrogant. Honey, are you okay, Tilda? Lin Wan, who was in the living room, had no idea about Lu Ming's affairs. She just asked him when she saw that he hadn't come out for a long time. Here I come. Lu Ming hurried out of the bathroom. When I came to the living room, I saw breakfast on the dining table. Salads, sandwiches, coffee, omelets. It was obviously the breakfast that Lin Wan prepared for herself. I'm not very good at it, so it might not taste that good. Lin Wan said softly, pinching her hands. Over the years, he has only set foot in the kitchen a handful of times. Although these breakfasts are simple, they took a lot of effort for her to prepare. Thank you, wife. I love everything she cooks. Lu Ming pulled Lin Wan to sit down together, and started praising her before they even started eating. But she was obviously enjoying it very much. Lin Wan, who was worried that what she cooked was not tasty and felt embarrassed just now, smiled instantly. Chapter 11 Woman, you are playing with fire. Then the two of them started to eat breakfast. Lu Ming looked at the beautifully arranged breakfast in front of him and couldn't help but feel hungry. He picked up the sandwich and started eating. It's just ordinary. It's hard to make such a simple thing taste bad, unless you have a talent for dark cuisine. It was obvious that Lin Wan had tried her best and had put a lot of thought into the presentation and style of the dish. Delicious, I love it. So Lu Ming still had to praise his wife. After Lin Wan accepted Lu Ming's praise, she also took a bite of the sandwich. But then he frowned. It's not tasty at all. It has no taste at all. Honey, don't eat it. Let's go out and buy some more. Lin Wan was furious, but she was more angry about her poor cooking skills. Although she didn't dare to compare her cooking with her husband's, her cooking was much worse than those sold outside. So she wanted Lu Ming to stop and they could eat again outside. Lu Ming looked at Lin Wan's cute appearance, smiled and touched her head to comfort her. What's wrong with you? Just be a little more plain, it's healthy. In fact, I think the most important thing is not whether the breakfast tastes good, but the thought that goes into preparing breakfast, which is far more important than breakfast. With this kind thought, I feel sweet when eating sandwiches. Lu Ming didn't say this just to comfort Lin Wan. He hasn't had a home-prepared breakfast for a long time. He had lost the habit of eating breakfast since he went to college, because no one prepared breakfast for him and he was too lazy to eat it specifically. Just lie down a little longer and you can have lunch. And so many years later, there is a woman other than my biological mother who is willing to prepare a careful dinner for me. This already touched Lu Ming's heart. Even though the breakfast tasted pretty average. Lu Ming's comfort made Lin Wan feel better, but she still felt aggrieved. But it still can't change the fact that my cooking is not delicious. In this regard, Lin Wan was a little stubborn. She wanted to prepare the best things for Lu Ming. Lu Ming couldn't help but smile and joked, "Why don't I teach you?" Although Lu Ming was just joking. But Lin Wan's eyes lit up and she responded seriously, "Okay. I want to learn." Lu Ming was stunned for a moment. Is this what a CEO's wife should do? Really? From now on, husband, you should teach me how to cook. Seeing Lin Wan was so serious, Lu Ming nodded, "Okay, as long as you want to learn, I can teach you anytime." Aha! After getting Lu Ming's response, Lin Wan happily kissed Lu Ming on the face. She couldn't wait to learn how to cook and then make a delicious meal for her beloved man. Lin Wan did not realize that she had undergone another huge transformation in this regard. In the past, she was still that cold female president. We eat just to fill our stomach so that our body can keep working with energy. Sometimes, in order to save time and focus more on work, she would ask her assistant to prepare simpler and quicker food. It is just to avoid wasting too much time on this so that we can speed up our work. But now, she attaches great importance to 3 meals a day. To enjoy delicious food with your loved ones, especially food made by yourself. She is willing to spend time learning cooking. Lin Wan is already looking forward to the days of study. Just imagine the young couple, snuggling together in the kitchen, cooking together. What a dreamy and happy picture. And wait until your cooking skills are perfected. If she could cook a real meal for her beloved husband and get real praise from him, she would be happier than making money. After a while, Lu Ming ate up all the breakfast made by Lin Wan. Lin Wan was just about to get up and clean up the dishes. He was stopped by Lu Ming. "You still have a wound on your hand, let me do it. And it's time to change the medicine." As he spoke, he pulled Lin Wan to the sofa and brought out the medicine box. He squatted down and unwrapped the wound that had been bandaged yesterday. Disinfect again and change the dressing. During this process, Lin Wan's eyes flickered and her heart felt warm. How can the man in front of me be so gentle and considerate? This moment, Lin Wan felt that she was the happiest woman in the world. I actually found this man who cooks delicious food, is handsome, gentle and considerate, and has good physical strength. Honey, do you think I'm dreaming? Lin Wan suddenly spoke. Lu Ming was a little confused and continued with his work. Why do you say that? Otherwise, how can I be with someone as nice as you? Hearing this, Lu Ming couldn't help but think of what Lin Wan said to her mother during the video call yesterday. Said jokingly, "What's good about me? Good physical strength. That's right. My little puppy husband has great physical strength. I have a say in this. Unexpectedly, Lin Wan was not shy at all after hearing Lu Ming's teasing, and she even became more aggressive. The other hand is not honest either. He reached into Lu Ming's clothes and started groping his abdominal muscles. You woman, you don't understand what you've gotten yourself into. Lin Wan didn't care and didn't stop her hands. Lu Ming quickly finished the work at hand. Next second. You. Before Lin Wan could finish her words, Lu Ming blocked her mouth. Then he pushed me hard onto the sofa. The weather is like a woman's face, it changes at any time. It started with a light, wet rain, accompanied by bursts of soft, pleasant thunder, and then a sudden strong wind blew. The huge force made the sofa unstable, and the sofa legs made a creaking sound as they rubbed against the ground. Finally, heavy rain and thunder and lightning came with strong winds and lasted for a long time. Finally, peace returned. After the rain, Lu Ming and Lin Wan's clothes were soaked. The two had to go back to the bathroom to take a shower. Lu Ming came out first and waited for Lin Wan outside. Just see. Lin Wan was wearing a black leather skirt, a black vest underneath and a shirt on the outside, and she walked out with her long white legs. With such a beautiful face and this dress, she looked so pure and sexy. Especially since I have just been nourished by love. Their whole person was radiant and radiant, revealing a unique charm, which made Lu Ming eager to try again. Lin Wan came out and saw Lu Ming's look. He said quickly and timidly, "No, I have to go out now." She was very tired now, and was very scared seeing Lu Ming's wolf-like look. Lu Ming smiled dumbly after hearing this. You little coward. Besides, you were the one who played with fire first, so you can't blame me. I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. Lin Wan started to act shamelessly again. Playing tricks is a woman's right. Lin Wan was so cute that Lu Ming's heart melted. Okay, blame me, it's me who wasted time. Come here, I want to eat you. Chapter 12, The Arrogance of the Rich Woman. After fooling around all morning, Lu Ming and Lin Wan finally went out. The same driver from last time was already waiting at the door in his Rolls-Royce with the flying goddess. After getting on the bus, Lu Ming couldn't help but ask, "Where are we going?" But Lin Wan remained tight-lipped and refused to reveal a single word no matter how Lu Ming asked. You little coward, you are just trying to whet my appetite. When Lu Ming called her like that, Lin Wan thought of something and her face turned red. She was a little shy and stubborn. Don't call me that. I just want to tell you, I'm just trying to keep you in suspense, so what? Looking at this, he seems to be ready to die. But the next second, Lu Ming used his ultimate move and Lin Wan immediately surrendered. Seeing that Lin Wan was still so stubborn, Lu Ming immediately moved closer to her. His body pressed tightly against Lin Wan's, and he held her and controlled her with his right hand. Then, he put his mouth next to Lin Wan's ear. Blow gently and talk. You really won't tell me. A deep and pleasant voice, with a hint of warmth, sounded in Lin Wan's ears. My ears are itchy. Go away, go away. This is what Lu Ming discovered recently. This is the spot that Lin Wan is most ticklish about. Once it's touched, she will surrender. Really? Lin Wan started begging for mercy after a few seconds. Stop talking, stop talking. I surrender, cluck cluck, let me go. Lu Ming let go of Lin Wan with satisfaction. This move would become his secret weapon to subdue Lin Wan from now on. Then tell me, where are we going? Huff, huff. After Lu Ming withdrew, Lin Wan adjusted her breathing. Then he admitted defeat and said, let's go buy a car. What car? When Lu Ming asked this question, Lin Wan said unhappily, of course it's a sports car. It could be a bicycle. Oh. Lu Ming finally came to his senses. At the same time, I felt a little excited. It's a sports car. What man doesn't he like the roaring sound? This was one of the things Lin Wan promised to give him during their blind date. But Lu Ming had already forgotten about it and didn't care about it at all. Unexpectedly, Lin Wan still remembered it. I'm going to take him to see the car today. Let us not talk about it. A sports car is like a man's second wife. Just after Lin Wan gave him a sports car, the assets he had earned from living off her would be raised to a higher level. The amount of system increase will become larger every day, and there are other system rewards. These are the highlights. Thank you, my wife. My wife is the most beautiful. Lu Ming turned around and kissed Lin Wan on the cheek. It feels good. Not to mention, although Lin Wan is a little older than Lu Ming, she often stays up late to work. But her overall condition is very fresh and lively. As fair and tender as those girls of 17 or 18 years old. There is no need to use any makeup to cover up the blemishes. When you kiss it, it is as chewy and smooth as jelly, making you want to take a bite. After one kiss, Lu Ming even wanted a second kiss, a third kiss, and couldn't stop. But Lin Wan dodged it. It's just a kiss, there's no such thing as biting. Go away, go away. Lin Wan pushed Lu Ming away, determined not to let him get any closer. The two were fighting. The car was slowly slowing down, and was obviously about to reach its destination. Lu Ming looked out the window. There were huge crowds of people outside, with heavy traffic and pedestrian flow. Fuck, the Rolls-Royce Flying Goddess. Look at the license plate. Bin B66886. This is the coolest one. Fuck, so handsome and beautiful. What a god. A godly car and a godly couple. As soon as Lu Ming and his team's car approached the exhibition hall, it attracted many people's attention and everyone was talking about it. His eyes kept staring at the car as it moved until it stopped and someone walked out of it. I want to see who their boss is. Finally, seeing the divine combination of Lu Ming and Lin Wan, many people couldn't help but marvel. Lu Ming didn't care about being watched at the moment. After getting off the car, he looked at the banners and signs hanging everywhere. Only then did I know. It turns out that a luxury car show was held at the Excellence Exhibition Hall today. All the cars that can enter this luxury car show are luxury cars from top brands. This is what attracted so many people to come and watch. Of course, the ultimate goal of the display is to sell goods. Some people came to watch, while Lu Ming and his group came to purchase. Just got off the car a few steps. 3 staff members from the exhibition hall ran over quickly. When he arrived in front of Lu Ming and Lin Wan, he greeted them warmly. Welcome Mr. Lin to come and make our auto show more glorious. Well, let's go in. After saying that, he took Lu Ming's hand. Led by the staff in front, we walked into the auto show. Inside the auto show center. There were people coming and going to the exhibition, it was very lively. After walking through the complex exclusive passage, Lu Ming and Lin Wan came to the VIP area of the innermost and top-level luxury car show in the auto show, which is the place closest to the luxury cars. There are no guardrails, and you can touch the glowing car body at any time by just reaching out your hand. Unlike ordinary visitors, they can only stand outside the guardrail and watch from afar. Therefore, the dozen or so luxury cars in the center of the exhibition hall were displayed in front of Lu Ming. The Bugatti Veyron uses an 8-liter square supercharged M16 engine with a top speed of 434 km/h. Ferrari Enzo has been the winner of Forbes' title of the world's most expensive car for several consecutive years. The Pagani Zonda accelerates from 0 to 100 km/h in 3.7 seconds and reaches a top speed of 345 km/h. The Porsche Carrera GT convertible 2-seater sports car has an imposing and expanded appearance, with muscular panels protruding from the headlights to the back on both sides, and its dynamic performance is very terrifying. Lamborghini Murcielago is the best sports car Lamborghini has ever made. Technically, it accelerates from 0 to 100 km/h in just 3.8 seconds. All the cars displayed in this showroom are expensive, limited edition, top-quality brand sports cars. Now Lu Ming understood why they came to the auto show to look at and buy cars. These limited edition top-level sports cars are rarely seen in normal times, and you cannot buy them at 4S stores at all. Even if you make an order at a brand 4S store, it will take a long time. I don't know how much effort went into this auto show to gather so many luxury cars. This made Lu Ming's eyes sparkle with gold, and he was deeply immersed in it. Do you like it? Lu Ming nodded in affirmation. Which man wouldn't like that? Pick any one you like. Lin Wan has always wanted to give Lu Ming the best things, and a sports car is no exception. So she didn't take Lu Ming to the 4S dealership to look at those ordinary sports cars that were sold everywhere. Instead, they came to this auto show and let Lu Ming choose freely. When Lin Wan said this, Lu Ming hadn't said anything yet. The staff members behind him were dumbfounded. Just pick. Is this the arrogance of a rich woman? Any car at this auto show is a limited edition luxury car worth tens or even hundreds of millions. They also wish someone could tell them to pick whatever they want. Very sour. Everyone feels so sad. Chapter 13. Like them all. Bought them all. No one dared to doubt that what Lin Wan said was just bragging. After all, those who could visit this VIP booth were either rich or noble. Some people even recognized Lin Wan's identity. So let alone buying any one of the cars at the auto show, with Lin Wan's financial strength, it would be no problem for her to buy them all. The other side. Lu Ming has already walked forward and is in close contact with each luxury car. Each luxury car has its own style and personality, making Lu Ming regard them as treasures. After a circle, Lu Ming, who was originally full of joy, frowned. This is so hard to choose. Every car is his favorite, how can he choose? What's wrong? Don't you have anything you like? Seeing Lu Ming looking worried, Lin Wan walked over and asked. How could I not like it? I just like it too much. That's why I don't know how to choose. Lu Ming quickly shook his head in denial. How could you not like these multi-million luxury cars? You know, before this, he was just an ordinary handsome man, and he would probably never have access to such a luxury car in his entire life. Now he suddenly had the opportunity to choose one of more than a dozen luxury cars, and he was stunned. I really can't choose. Don't you have a favorite? Lu Ming gritted his teeth and took another look at all the luxury cars, trying to pick one out. But in the end, he was still very conflicted. I can't choose one, why don't you help me choose one? Seeing Lu Ming so fond and conflicted, Lin Wan thought about it and suggested. How about, we buy them all? As soon as these words came out, the whole place seemed to quiet down a bit. Lu Ming suspected that there was something wrong with his ears and asked uncertainly. What? Lin Wan also raised her voice a bit. I say. Buy them all. This time Lu Ming heard it clearly and no longer suspected that he had misheard. He said in disbelief, are you kidding? Buy them all? How much will that cost? Lin Wan smiled and spoke calmly. It's probably only about 400 or 500 million, right? It's not like we can't afford it. After saying that, she took Lu Ming's hand and interlocked their fingers. As long as my husband likes it, I am happy to spend any amount of money. All of this was heard clearly from beginning to end by the crowd watching behind. Everyone went from being dumbfounded to being speechless, looking at each other in bewilderment. Only 400 to 500 million. Only? Since when did for a 500 million become so casual? Beauty, do you have no idea what for a 500 million means? For ordinary people like them, even if they pack up their belongings and sell themselves, they still can't raise that much money. How come to you, it sounds as simple as drinking water? At this moment, they were all deeply shocked. I realized that there are real differences between people. Like Lu Ming, he is so handsome and has such a beautiful rich woman who loves him. He can buy whatever he wants. And they could only wait on the side. Everyone wishes they were Lu Ming, because rich women like to pay the bills. Pity. This is all their fantasy. That's the reality. After hearing Lin Wan's proposal to buy everything, Lu Ming quickly rejected the idea in his heart. But he was still very touched. In Lu Ming's mind, he thought it was good enough to buy an ordinary sports car. Unexpectedly, Lin Wan brought him to a luxury car show and chose a limited edition sports car. This was beyond his original psychological tone. Not to mention, just because of his indecisiveness, Lin Wan had to spend for a 500 million to buy all these cars. He couldn't get over this and was really ungrateful. He would not obtain more assets from Lin Wan endlessly just to earn system enhancement money and rewards. Because Lin Wan is his wife who he wants to spend his life with, not a tool to earn system bonuses. Besides, even if he did nothing, the money he had was enough to ensure his lifelong food and drink. Why be so obsessed with making money? So Lu Ming wanted to reject Lin Wan's kindness. But he hadn't finished speaking yet. A greeting voice came from behind them. Sister Wana. Lin Wan and Lu Ming turned around at the same time. I saw a woman with a ponytail, wearing a women's suit, and looking very capable and neat, walking towards me quickly. After arriving near the two of them, she immediately noticed Lu Ming, who was very close to Lin Wan. "Sister Wana, he. My husband, Lu Ming." Lin Wan hugged Lu Ming's arm and introduced him. At the same time, he introduced the visitor to Lu Ming. "This is my very close sister, Wang Yingying." But after listening to Lin Wan's introduction, Wang Yingying was surprised. "Sister Wana, you really have a boyfriend? I heard some gossip and I couldn't believe it. There is actually a man in this world who catches your eye." After finishing speaking, Wang Yingying looked at Lu Ming and said, "Hello, I'm Wang Yingying. I didn't expect you could melt our ice queen. You are so handsome, no wonder Sister Wana was conquered by you. Anyone else would be conquered by you." As soon as Wang Yingying finished speaking, Lin Wan responded nervously. "Lu Ming and I are a legal couple. We have registered and obtained a marriage certificate. Yingying, please don't mess around." Wang Yingying didn't think much about it. "What? Sister Wana, I was just saying it casually. How could I?" Half the story. Wang Yingying suddenly realized something. He widened his eyes and looked at Lin Wan and Lu Ming in disbelief. "What? Sister Wana? You just said that you two have already obtained your marriage certificate." Wang Yingying always thought that the word husband that Lin Wan introduced to him when they first met was just a nickname. After all, it had only been a few days since he heard that Lin Wan had a boyfriend. She never imagined that the two had already registered their marriage. Besides, Wang Yingying and Lin Wan have a pretty good relationship. She was someone who knew Lin Wan relatively well, and knew her character and high vision. Although she is a little older, she seems to be frozen in time, and many powerful people are trying to get close to her. But they could not move forward and undoubtedly ended up hitting a wall. She originally thought that Lin Wan would be like a fairy in this life and would never enter the mortal world. But I can't figure it out no matter how hard I scratch my head. How come you got married to a man so quickly? Anyone would be shocked by this speed. Sister Wana, you are not kidding me. Didn't we just meet a few days ago? It's only been a few days. You stopped being single and got married. Obviously, Wang Yingying was shocked and confused. In her opinion, Lin Wan's behavior might not be very rational. How can this amount of time be enough to get to know a person clearly, let alone fall in love with or get married? It shouldn't be. With Sister Wana's intelligence, how could she not consider these things? Wang Yingying looked at Lu Ming with a bit of wariness. She wondered if Lin Wan had been fooled by this man. Please give me some free recommendation tickets tilde. Chapter 14. As long as my husband likes it. Although Lin Wan is the person in charge of a trillion-dollar group, she has no experience in love and is simply a novice in love. Perhaps it was because of this that I was deceived by the sweet words of the man in front of me and got married so quickly. Actually, Lu Ming and I met through a blind date. Then we registered our marriage on the same day and are living together now. We love each other very much. After saying that, Lin Wan looked up at Lu Ming. Lu Ming also lowered his head, and their eyes met, filled with happiness and love. After hearing this, the doubts and resentment that had just surged in Wang Yingying's heart slowly disappeared. Eyes are the windows to the soul. The love she saw in Lu Ming and Lin Wan's eyes was not fake. This is her confidence as a luxury car salesperson. She is very good at seeing a person's true face from his eyes. So the thought that just popped up in her mind disappeared. It seems that Sister Wana has really found true love. As long as people's senses change, many things will become different. Wang Yingying began to think about it. There must be some advantages of Lu Ming that she doesn't know about. It can't be just about being handsome. Sister Wana is not such a superficial person. That's why Sister Wana was conquered by him. The more Wang Yingying thought about it, the more she felt that Lu Ming was not an ordinary person. No wonder. Normally, my President Lin is so busy that he doesn't even have time to have a meal with me. Yesterday he suddenly told me that he wanted to come to the auto show, and I didn't understand it. So you want to buy it for your man? Lin Wan was full of pride. That's not true. You must treat your man well with all your heart. Looking at Lin Wan's happy expression, Wang Yingying would never admit that she was a little jealous. Although she has had relationships before, they all ended in failure and she is still single now. She never expected that one day it would be her turn to eat dog food. In the past, she was the one showing off her love, but today she experienced the feeling of eating dog food. Stop showing off, stop showing off. You'll die of overeating if you keep showing off. Okay, let me tell you something serious. Lin Wan calmed down and prepared to ask Wang Yingyin something. Let me ask you this, is it okay for me to buy all the cars in your showroom? Wang Yingyin was stunned for a moment. Sister, you have never liked cars, right? Why buy so many cars? Wang Yingyin was so shocked that her mind was not clear for a moment. But then he looked at Lin Wan and the man next to her. Then he patted his forehead. I thought to myself, how confused I am. What else can I do? Isn't it obvious? The purpose of Sister Wan's trip is to buy a car for her husband. My husband likes all of them. So I bought them all. Lin Wan looked at Wang Yingyin, who was stunned for a moment and did not answer, then added. Wang Yingyin was invisibly filled with dog food. Wang Yingyin, are you a fool? Is there any need to ask this? Isn't this just looking for dog food? Wang Yingyin wanted to cry but had no tears, not knowing what happened to her today. Is it because I haven't been in a relationship for too long? It has been a long time since Wang Yingyin's last relationship. As a girl, she also looks forward to having a sweet love. But the previous relationship ended in a bad way, and there was nothing sweet about it. This led to her obsession with having a sweet love relationship, but she has never found a boyfriend. I'm afraid that starting a new relationship will cause me harm. That's why I can't get the love I want. What she fears most is others showing off their love in front of her. Now that's good. Others stopped talking and restrained themselves. I am too talkative to ask so much. Yingyin, you are so outstanding. You will definitely have it in the future. Also, about the car, please tell me if it's okay. Good professional ethics allowed Wang Yingyin to adjust her mindset immediately. Sister Wana, although with your assets and status, it is no problem for you to buy all the cars, but it may not be possible now. Wang Yingyin said helplessly. Indeed, with Lin Wan's wealth and status as the boss of a billion-dollar group. No matter her status or money, she can't buy any luxury car. But the key is. Why? Sister Wana, you know we have been promoting this auto show for a long time. Some of these limited edition cars were already bought out during the promotion. It's just that it's still in the display period now, and once the show is over, some of the cars will be delivered to their owners. Hear this. Lin Wan also understood. Indeed. If the cars hadn't been sold yet, she could have bought them all, no problem. But some of the cars already had owners, and she couldn't take them away from them. You know, people who can afford these cars must be of high status. It is not okay to take away someone's love by force. Wana, we can just buy one. Lu Ming on the side quickly spoke up to persuade him. He didn't want Lin Wan to spend so much money on a car. Now I just happen to have such a perfect reason, I can just use the donkey to go downhill. Lin Wan thought for a moment and asked again. How many are left now? Now, 6. I want them all. In the reception room, Wang Yingyin rushed to get the documents related to buying a car. Wife, no. Before Lu Ming could finish his words, Lin Wan already knew what he was going to say and interrupted him. Hubby, money is really nothing to me. I know you don't want me to spend too much money, but really, this little money can't express my love for you. You are my lover, husband. As long as you like, I will buy you everything, and the best. Don't say no again. After listening to Lin Wan's words, Lu Ming fell silent. He felt Lin Wan's passionate love for him. Just because I said I liked them all, she wanted to buy all the luxury cars for me. No matter how much she said she only wanted one, she still insisted on buying all of them. This made Lu Ming feel extremely doted on. I'm afraid that even if Lu Ming asked for the stars in the sky, Lin Wan would seriously consider it and find a way to get them for him. This moment, Lu Ming was truly moved. She said nothing more and accepted Wana's love for her peacefully. Under the guidance of the staff, I signed all the car purchase documents. Immediately, Lin Wan swiped the card. Congratulations to Mr. Lu for becoming the owner of Bugatti Veyron, Ferrari Enzo, Pagani Zonda, Lamborghini Murcielago, Porsche Carrera GT, Bentley Continental Supersports and Aston Martin 177. We are expediting the processing of the temporary license plate, and we will deliver the car to your home after the auto show is over. At the same time, the system's voice also rang in Lu Ming's mind. Ding, congratulations to their host, you have won 7 luxury cars by eating gigolo. The value is 86,200,000 yuan. Ding, congratulations to their host, the assets earned from living like a gigolo have officially exceeded 100 million. Reward, God-level medical skills, 22% of the shares of Hongyan Group. Chapter 15 I love you and prove it with my actions. The system gave another very generous reward, but Lu Ming didn't have time to take a closer look. The system sound rang again. Ding, congratulations to their host for reaching level 2, and the daily amplitude has increased to 20%. Lu Ming didn't expect that the system level would actually be upgraded. By the way, the daily increase was also increased from 10% to 20%. Based on my current assets of 100 million, I can get 20 million for free every day when I wake up. 20 million a day. Before the week was over, another 100 million was raised. I'm afraid this money will be spent faster than it comes back. And this time the system rewarded shares of Hongyan Group. That's a $1 trillion group. The 48% of shares awarded last time plus the 22% this time, that's 70% in total. Without a doubt, Lu Ming is the king of Hongyan Group. Has unparalleled power over the huge Hongyan Group. But what surprised Lu Ming the most was the reward of divine medical skills. You have to know that no matter how powerful and rich you are suffering from a terminal illness. Then everything is just a passing cloud, which you cannot bring with you when you are born and you cannot take with you when you die. I believe that there are countless wealthy people who are willing to give up their entire life fortune just to stay healthy. Countless medical knowledge emerged in my mind. In an instant, Lu Ming went from being a person who knew nothing about medicine to a national master. The rewards of the system are so magical. Even if the system gives some rewards that are beyond the scope of human beings next time, Lu Ming will not be surprised. What's wrong, husband? Are you tired? Lin Wan saw her husband sitting on the sofa in a daze and thought he was tired. No, it's okay. I'm just so happy. Seeing her husband happy, Lin Wan also smiled happily. Then he suggested, it's still early, why don't we go for a walk outside? Next to the auto show is the famous Excellence Plaza in the large seaside city. There is everything from food, clothing, housing, transportation, food, drink, and entertainment. Okay. Lu Ming naturally agreed readily. There is so much money that I don't know how to spend it. But during the entire shopping process, Lin Wan and Lu Ming almost only looked at men's products, and did not even glance at the women's clothing stores when they passed by. Lu Ming wanted to buy something for Lin Wan, but she declined. No, I have so many at home that I can't put them all away. In the end, Lu Ming had no choice but to be a tool and was always led around by Lin Wan. She shopped for men's clothing and almost changed Lu Ming's outfit from scratch. I even bought a limited edition Patek Philippe watch. I don't really know the specific Lu Ming, but he is pretty good looking anyway. At this time, Lu Ming had already given up, and Lin Wan refused to let him pay, so she was the one who was paying. Lu Ming didn't resist and bought him whatever he wanted. All are received. After strolling around the street, Lu Ming's income increased by nearly 10 million. Clothes make the man, and saddles make the horse. Lu Ming's appearance was originally very attractive. After being improved with genetic drugs, it has taken a big step forward. Now after changing into a set of branded clothes, their whole person is shining. When walking on the street, many women looked back frequently and changed from 1 step to 3 steps. She doesn't consider the feelings of the man around her at all. Even Lin Wan, who was beside him. As he walked, he would turn his head from time to look at Lu Ming. Because he didn't look at the road, he almost tripped and fell to the ground. Fortunately, Lu Ming caught him in time. Silly girl, please watch the road when you walk. Honey, you're so handsome. I can't control myself. I just can't help but want to look at you. Lin Wan looked at Lu Ming and said with stars in her eyes. But then I felt a little depressed. I regret it. I shouldn't have taken you out shopping. Buying clothes. Dressing you up so handsomely. Just now, many young and beautiful girls were looking at you. If I hadn't been there, they would probably have rushed over to ask for your contact information. But what will you do if I'm not around next time? They will definitely hook up with you. Seeing Lin Wan's slightly spoiled and arrogant look, Lu Ming couldn't help but laugh out loud. Lin Wan was kind of cute like this. Silly wife. Lu Ming touched Lin Wan's head. Huh, you still despise me? Wife, are you blind to yourself? Lin Wan didn't understand. What do you mean? Lu Ming turned Lin Wan's body so that it was facing the glass curtain wall of the shopping mall. Two figures were reflected in the glass. I mean, how can you not realize how beautiful you are? In my heart, you are the most beautiful. How could I dislike you and leave you? Lu Ming's words came completely from her heart. As soon as he entered the tea room for his blind date, Lu Ming was immediately fascinated by Lin Wan. In his opinion, Lin Wan was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. Lu Ming spoke sincerely and affectionately. For a while, Lin Wan blushed and her heart began to beat fast. Slippery tongue. I'm ignoring you. Lin Wan's mood improved again and she smiled again. Yeah. Lu Ming hugged Lin Wan's waist and played tricks with his hands, making Lin Wan giggle. After a while of playing, put your hand out. Lin Wan stupidly stretched out her left hand. Not this one, but the other one. Oh. Although Lin Wan didn't know what Lu Ming was going to do, she still did as he said. Lu Ming took off a black rubber band from her right hand. Under Lin Wan's gaze, he put it on his right hand. What is this for? Lin Wan didn't quite understand. Lu Ming raised his right hand and shook it. It's a declaration of sovereignty. From now on, this rubber band will be worn on my hand, and anyone who sees it will know that I am a man who needs to tie his wife's hair. That way, naturally no one will come back to seduce your husband. After listening to Lu Ming's explanation, Lin Wan understood immediately and threw herself into Lu Ming's arms. Hubby, you're so nice. Putting aside Lin Wan's other identities, she is essentially a woman. Women always have a sense of insecurity when they are in love. Afraid that the man you love will be taken away by another woman. With Lu Ming's handsomeness and gentleness, most women cannot resist his charm. Lin Wan was really afraid that one day Lu Ming would really leave her. I have already fallen into Lu Ming's arms. Can I continue to live the lonely life I used to? This scared her just thinking about it. However, Lu Ming responded with action at this time. Use a black rubber band to isolate yourself from other opposite-sex relationships. It's like a dose of reassurance. It made Lin Wan feel full of security. Let her know that to make a woman feel at ease, it is not just about saying, I love you and you are the most beautiful, but about proving yourself with actions. Hubby, I love you even more. Lin Wan felt full of happiness in Lu Ming's arms. It's not good for you to do this. A sudden voice suddenly sounded. It ruins the current atmosphere. Chapter 16. You are waste, trash. Lu Ming turned around and saw that the person who came was a man wearing a high-end suit. Although he looked good, he was not as handsome as him. But this man exudes an inexplicable and unpleasant temperament, and seems to be very hostile to him. I have never seen this man before, so he should be. It was just as Lu Ming expected. This person knew Lin Wan, and Lin Wan also turned around at this time. After seeing the person coming, he frowned subconsciously. When Lu Ming saw this, he realized that Lin Wan didn't like the guy in front of her very much either. What's it got to do with you? Lin Wan retorted. He is. Lu Ming asked. He is just an insignificant person, and he is extremely annoying, without any self-awareness. Lin Wan turned around and patiently explained to Lu Ming that she had nothing to do with the man in front of her and that she hated him very much. Since my husband can come up with the idea of wearing a rubber band to show that he is taken and avoid the opposite sex, I should naturally explain it patiently. After Lin Wan finished her explanation, Lu Ming nodded. It wasn't that he didn't believe Lin Wan, but he asked out of curiosity. As a result, Lin Wan explained a lot to him. It was as if she was afraid that Lu Ming would misunderstand her because a man he knew greeted her. She was wrong. How could Lu Ming be such a petty-minded man? Lu Ming looked at Lin Wan with a slightly anxious look, and stroked her head with his right hand, as if he was petting a kitten. My dear wife, this is so cute. Lu Ming thought secretly. Lin Wan's behavior actually made him feel very refreshed. A cold female CEO was anxious to explain to him because of such a small matter. That proves how important I am in her heart. Gradually, under Lu Ming's touch, Lin Wan calmed down. The two men had completely forgotten to ignore the man in the suit and left him aside for a long time. The man in the suit watched the two people ignore his existence and show affection in front of him, and he was so angry that his teeth were about to break. You! Before he could finish his words, he was interrupted by Lin Wan in a domineering manner. Wang Yaolin, what we do has nothing to do with you. Could you please move aside gracefully? At this moment, Lin Wan was no longer as gentle and lovely as she was when she was with Lu Ming. Her words were filled with the coldness and indifference of a female boss. Yes, the person who came was the young boss of He Dongqing's company, Wang Yaolin. After he couldn't get any useful information from He Dongqing, he spent a lot of manpower and financial resources to investigate Lu Ming's information. After getting the information, he was so angry that his liver hurt. The news that Lin Wan and Lu Ming have registered their marriage is actually not false. When he first heard the news, before it was confirmed, he still hoped it was just a rumor. Because based on his understanding of Lin Wan, there had never been a man named Lu Ming around her before. Even if he showed up later, it would be impossible for him to conquer Lin Wan so quickly and make her marry him. So it is very likely that the current man named Lu Ming is pursuing Lin Wan and is getting closer to her, or the worst possibility is that they have become boyfriend and girlfriend. But no matter which possibility it is, Wang Yaolin still has a chance. But he never expected it. That news is really not a rumor. His hopes were shattered in an instant. He just couldn't understand why he was defeated by Lu Ming, who came from an ordinary family. Just because Lu Ming is a little more handsome than him? Although when he saw Lu Ming's photo in the profile, he couldn't help but secretly feel that he couldn't compare to him in terms of appearance. But a man should be compared in all aspects. His education. His family. His wealth. Lin Wan should, maybe, possibly. She is not the type who only looks at the face, right? 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 He has been pursuing Lin Wan for so many years and is well aware of the excellence of her countless suitors. So he continued to package and improve himself, and tried his best to stand out from the many suitors and become the first choice. But who could have thought? One day his house will be robbed. And in his eyes, he is just an ant among ants, an ordinary person with nothing good except being handsome. This is undoubtedly an insult to him. Lin Wan. How am I inferior to this guy? Why did I chase you for 5 years? You didn't even look at me. In terms of looks, no, in terms of background. Education. Net worth. How am I inferior to him? This guy is just an ordinary guy, he is not as rich as me. Whatever you like about this guy, I can do it for you. Wang Yaolin was so excited that he spoke louder and louder unconsciously. When the people around saw someone losing their composure and yelling so loudly, they all turned their eyes over here. Wang Yaolin. It was all your wishful thinking. When did I ever take you seriously? I have clearly rejected you many times. It was like this before, and it's even more so now that I'm married. Don't bother me anymore. Facing the onlookers around her, Lin Wan showed no mercy at all. The pointing and talking of passers-by made Wang Yaolin almost lose face. Under the double blow, Wang Yaolin looked at Lin Wan with resentment. Are you just attracted by his face, you superficial woman? He has no money or power, he is just a gigolo. One day you will regret it. I am the one who can bring you happiness. Wang Yaolin may have had some mental breakdown, and he was talking without thinking. He continued to pursue Lin Wan and attacked her in his words. As Lin Wan's husband, Lu Ming did not tolerate him and stood up immediately. Wang Yaolin, right? You're a piece of trash, garbage, and a second man. Where do you get the confidence to say that you are the one who can bring happiness to Wanner? You. Hearing Lu Ming's insults, Wang Yaolin was furious and was about to speak when he was interrupted by Lu Ming. I was absolutely right when I said you were trash. You've been chasing Wanner for 5 years, but she never even looked at you. When Wanner and I met for the first time, we got our marriage certificate on the same day. In comparison, aren't you a loser? And you are still a sanctimonious rubbish. You wear an expensive suit, look elegant, and pretend to be a gentleman. You have the nerve to say what you did for Wanner. If I guess correctly, you have many other women in places where Wanner can't see, right? Maybe in your heart, Those things outside are just for fun and you never take them to heart, but the more this is the case, the more disgusting garbage you are. Besides, Lu Ming hadn't said the main point yet, and Wang Yaolin might have been hit in a sore spot. He chose to use a louder voice to interrupt Lu Ming's speech. You are nothing but a gigolo. You are not as rich as me. You are not as powerful as me. Who do you think you are? Wang Yaolin kept using these two sentences to attack Lu Ming. Because that's all he has to say. He didn't dare to refute what Lu Ming said just now, because he didn't know how Lu Ming knew about the things behind him. Chapter 17 Kick Wang Yaolin Away. Lu Ming was not angry at all when Wang Yaolin called him a gigolo. He doesn't think it's bad to be a gigolo at all. This is at least an affirmation of his divine looks. And what a great guy, if you can really eat this bowl of rice, you have to say it's delicious. Wang Yaolin doesn't even have a chance to be a gigolo. Besides, he is a gigolo with a system. He couldn't compare with him before, but if we really talk about it now, with the shares of Hongyan Group in his hands, his wealth is much higher than that of Wang Yaolin. It doesn't matter if I have money or not, at least I have a healthy body. Lu Ming kept looking at Wang Yaolin while speaking meaningfully. Wang Yaolin felt a little uneasy when he was looked at like this, but he was also certain that there was no way Lu Ming could know anything. Everyone has a healthy body. Without money and power, you are waste. Wang Yaolin said with his neck stiff. He didn't dare to say too much about the body, but when it came to money and power, his tone became much tougher. After all, this was where he thought he had crushed Lu Ming. You. Lin Wan, who was standing by, became instantly furious when she saw him insulting her beloved husband. Just as he was about to speak, Lu Ming stopped him. This is a man's war now. Lu Ming asked Wang Yaolin in a questioning tone. Really? Just your body? As soon as Lu Ming said this, the eyes of the people around him immediately turned to Wang Yaolin. There was a hint of curiosity in his eyes. Wang Yaolin's heart also skipped a beat. My heart was like a typhoon, a mess. Because Lu Ming was right. He really isn't very good. But he kept this matter very secret and no one knew about it. But why did Lu Ming know? But as a man, he would naturally not admit such a thing, especially in public. There are so many people watching me, maybe some are filming. As a well-known rich young man in the local area, there must be someone who knows me. So it must never be acknowledged. Stop talking nonsense. Wang Yaolin was a little flustered at this time and spoke without restraint. Lu Ming smiled when he heard it. Your irritability, night sweats, red cheeks, hot flashes, and puffy eyes are all signs of kidney deficiency. Lu Ming possesses God-level medical skills, and he could tell at first glance that Wang Yaolin was suffering from kidney deficiency. Lu Ming spoke so professionally, and Wang Yaolin's expression became increasingly ugly. All of this proves that Wang Yaolin does suffer from kidney deficiency. For a while, the onlookers couldn't help but laugh and cast sympathetic glances. This made Wang Yaolin even more embarrassed. This kid is so fucking weird. Wang Yaolin thought to himself. He was the one who came to cause trouble for Lu Ming, but he always lost in every confrontation. I am the young master of the Wang family, but I can't deal with this kid. Not only did he insult himself, he called himself trash and rubbish. He also revealed that he had kidney deficiency. Although I don't know how he knew it. But even if he tries his best to deny it now, I guess few people will believe it. Thinking of this, Wang Yaolin was so angry that he almost went crazy. There is no way to talk anymore, so I have to take action. Come on. After receiving Wang Yaolin's order, the four big men behind him rushed directly towards Lu Ming. Passers-by around also avoided it for fear of being hurt innocently. Stop. Only Lin Wan stood up at this time and stood in front of Lu Ming. Wang Yaolin, if you dare to touch my husband in the slightest, I will destroy your Wang family when I return. But at this time Wang Yaolin had lost his mind and ignored Lin Wan's threats. Go. Go. Beat this guy to death. The four big men continued to approach. Lu Ming was worried that Lin Wan would get hurt, so he quickly pulled her behind him. Soon after, four big men arrived in front of Lu Ming. The two men stretched out their long arms, ready to control Lu Ming. The other two clenched their fists and punched Lu Ming hard, wanting to give him a good beating. The crowd watched as four muscular, ferocious-looking men, who seemed to have received professional training, besieged a handsome young man like Lu Ming. It seems like I can guess what the ending will be. How could such a handsome young man possibly be a match for four big men? If he were controlled, who knows what would happen to him? No one could bear to watch. But the next second, four screams rang out one after another. Everyone was stunned as they looked at the four big men lying on the ground twitching. What's going on? I didn't even dare to look at it. I couldn't see it clearly. How come you fell down right away without even touching that handsome guy? They look strong, but I didn't expect them to be just show-offs. Yeah, I thought that handsome guy was going to get beaten up, but I didn't expect. Could this handsome guy be a martial arts master? I think I saw him tapping those people a few times. Lu Ming is not a martial arts master, he doesn't know any martial arts. But he took genetic drugs and has extraordinary physical fitness, physical strength and power. In his eyes, the movements of these big men were as slow as ants, and he could easily dodge their attacks. Plus, he possesses god-level medical skills. He knew the acupuncture points of the human body very well. As long as he wanted, it would not be a problem for these people in front of him to become disabled, let alone simply losing their combat effectiveness. You are a piece of trash, and the people you brought with you are also trash. You fell down without even touching me. After dealing with the four big men, Lu Ming said to Wang Yaolin with a provocative look on his face. After being provoked, Wang Yaolin, who had already lost his mind, did not even think about whether he was a match for Lu Ming and rushed straight towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming, I'm going to destroy you. The weak Wang Yaolin was like a sissy at this moment. Even if he clenched his fists, he didn't seem to pose any threat. Looking at Wang Yaolin rushing towards him, Lu Ming didn't move at all. He caught Wang Yaolin's fist on the spot. It was indeed weak and lingering. Wang Yaolin, whose fist was caught, was suddenly panicked and tried desperately to pull his fist out. But I couldn't pull it back. Lu Ming grabbed it with force. R. Wang Yaolin instantly felt a huge pain coming over him, his face turned pale and he kept gagging. This guy is too weak. I think this guy is more like a pretty boy, with weak fists and feet. I can do it with you, but with this ability, you still want to beat someone up. Yeah, it's a real dish. This guy is crazy. For big guys can't beat this handsome guy. Where does he get the courage? As he spoke, the people watching started laughing. Lu Ming also smiled and said, Wang Yaolin, is that all? Are you weak because of kidney deficiency? After saying that, he slapped him directly and then kicked him hard. Kicked Wang Yaolin away and he fell flat on his face. Chapter 18. A full sense of security. Wang Yaolin suddenly fell on the curb. He had always lived a life of luxury, so when had he ever suffered such an injustice? My knees and hands were burning with pain. But he didn't dare open his eyes and look up. Because he could feel him throwing himself in front of a crowd of onlookers. He didn't dare to get up. Or he was too embarrassed to say it. With his eyes closed, he could hear the group of people in front of him laughing quietly and even whispering. But because he was so close, he could hear what they were saying. It's so funny, it seems this guy is really weak. What's the use of having money when he is so weak? Yeah, even if you have money to buy meat, you can only look at it but can't eat it. It feels so good to see him get beaten, har har har. After hearing these people's discussions, Wang Yaolin finally couldn't hold it in anymore. He feels so wronged. Nothing went his way today. He couldn't scold Lu Ming, nor could he beat him, and was even laughed at by a group of people. Thinking of this, Wang Yaolin couldn't help but cover his face with the ground and cried secretly. But at this time, a team of security guards suddenly rushed over, and the crowd quickly dispersed when they saw this scene. The security guards came to Wang Yaolin and helped him up. Wang Yaolin, who covered his face, had no idea what was going on at this time. He struggled desperately, fearing that others would see him in this embarrassing state. But how could he be a match for the security guards? They lifted him up with great effort. When Wang Yaolin was arrested, he recognized the man. It turned out to be one of our own. Looking at so many security guards, Wang Yaolin instantly gained confidence and shouted loudly. I am the son of Wang Yongkang, a shareholder of Your Excellence Plaza. That kid just now deliberately hurt me here, hurry up. Help me beat him back. When Wang Yaolin said this, he was being lifted up by 4 security guards holding his limbs. The tears and tear marks on his face were still clearly visible, but his expression was arrogant. It feels contradictory and funny. Hey! What are you doing? Put me down. I told you to beat him. Where are you taking me? I am the son of Wang Yongkang, a shareholder of Your Excellence Plaza. Did you hear me? Are you deaf? I'll go back and ask my dad to fire you guys. But strangely, the purpose of this group of security guards seems to be very clear. As soon as he came over, he picked up Wang Yaolin and left. No matter how he struggled or cursed, they paid no attention. They carried Wang Yaolin away in a daze. What's going on? Didn't this guy say he was the son of a shareholder of Excellence Plaza? Why did the security guards still carry him away? Who knows? Maybe he was just bragging. Whatever. Did you see it just now? That young man was crying, but he stood up and acted arrogant. It made me laugh to death. Today's show was so exciting, with all kinds of twists and turns. Luckily I captured it all. That's it. The video of Wang Yaolin being rejected in love proposal, being diagnosed with kidney deficiency, and being abducted by shareholders of his own plaza began to circulate. With Wang Yaolin being taken away, the matter came to an end. Xiao Shuang, where are my bodyguards? How does my security system work? Today I was in danger at Excellence Plaza and no security personnel showed up. This is a serious loophole and dereliction of duty in the security system. Find out what is going on right now. Lu Ming looked at Lin Wan, who was on the phone. For the first time, he witnessed what Lin Wan was like when she was angry. The female boss's anger turned into a sharp ice knife, which raged all over the ground mercilessly with the biting cold wind. At the same time, Lu Ming also realized that, yes, Lin Wan is the CEO of a trillion-dollar group. How could there not be bodyguards protecting him secretly? It's just that Lin Wan doesn't like to get too close to strangers, and now she is with Lu Ming, so the bodyguards have been following her at a distance for protection. But this accident happened so long ago. Not a single bodyguard showed up. It seems there is indeed a big problem. It was only later that Lu Ming heard that Lin Wan had launched the most rigorous internal investigation after returning and had carried out a major reshuffle of her company's security department. After the call, Lin Wan's expression changed immediately. The frost on his face slowly faded away, and his face was filled with spring breeze and love. He said while holding Lu Ming's arm, "Hubby, how come you are so awesome? I feel so safe with you." What Lin Wan said was naturally what was in her heart. When the bodyguard didn't show up just now, she still felt a little panicked. She didn't know what horrible thing Wang Yaolin would do. Lu Ming also took Lin Wan into his arms and said solemnly, "Wife, I will always protect you." Lin Wan snuggled in Lu Ming's arms, feeling completely safe. The two hugged for a while. Lin Wan raised her head and asked curiously, "Husband, have you ever learned martial arts? You knocked down those big guys in just a few moves." Hearing this, Lu Ming was stunned for a moment. He didn't want to reveal too much of his abilities. If the incident had not happened suddenly and was not dangerous, Lu Ming would not have wanted to show it. I could only say vaguely, "No, maybe they are like their master, who is in poor health and has nothing to do with him." Lu Ming's words immediately made Lin Wan laugh. "Although I know it is unlikely, it may not be that simple." But he didn't think about it too much. He laughed happily for a long time. Lu Ming thought that the matter had finally been forgotten. Unexpectedly, Lin Wan suddenly thought of something. "Oh, right. There's one more strange thing. I know that Wang Yaolin's father Wang Yongkang is indeed a shareholder of Excellence Plaza. But why didn't the security guards help him but took him away instead? I don't know," Lu Ming said with a puzzled look. But in fact, he actually guessed what was going on. It should be that the people behind Excellence Plaza knew his true identity. Wang Yaolin's father, Wang Yongkang, is indeed a shareholder of Excellence Plaza, but he actually only holds a little over 3% of the shares. Excellence Plaza is actually an asset of Hongyan Group, which holds 85% of the shares. The remaining 15% of the shares were distributed among other people. Wang Yaolin's father Wang Yongkang is one of them. But what is the use of such a small amount of shares? Lu Ming owns 70% of the shares of Hongyan Group and has absolute controlling rights over it. Excellence Plaza is just one of the industries under Hongyan Group. If he wanted to clear out the Wang family's shares in Excellence Plaza, it would only take a few words. And on Wang Yaolin's side, "You bastards! How dare you catch me? I am the son of your shareholder. Did you hear that? Are you deaf? I'll make sure you guys pay when I get back. Wang Yaolin continued to curse until he was carried into the office. But at this moment, a figure threw a big bag at Wang Yaolin, who was being carried. Bang! Chapter 19. What? He is the major shareholder of Hongyan Group. This slap stunned Wang Yaolin and he stopped talking. He seriously suspected that today was his Mercury retrograde outbreak period. Otherwise, why would everything go wrong in his territory at Excellence Plaza? Even a few bastards dared to catch him, and he was even given a big bag by someone. This was the second time he was beaten today. I'll fuck you. The words haven't been finished yet. Par. Wang Yaolin was hit hard on the left cheek again. The crisp sound echoed in the office, and Wang Yaolin had a red slap mark on each side of his face. It is very symmetrical. Open your dog eyes and take a good look at who I am. Wang Yaolin, who was covering his face, felt very familiar when he heard the voice. This is not. Is that the voice of his father Wang Yongkang? Wang Yaolin quickly opened his eyes. Standing in front of him was his father Wang Yongkang. At the same time, he was the one who slapped himself twice. Wang Yaolin felt very aggrieved. Not only did his father not come forward to help him, he also slapped him twice. Dad! Why did you hit me? Why didn't you come out to help me in Zhuiyue? Didn't you see that I was beaten by that guy named Lu Ming just now? Am I your son? How could you bear to watch me get beaten? Or do you have an illegitimate child outside? That guy even revealed my kidney deficiency. How am I going to face people in the future? Wang Yaolin burst into tears, no longer looking like the rich young man in a well-ironed suit as before. But Wang Yongkang's expression did not show any emotion, and he even became angrier. You piece of shit. Shut up. How could I have a useless son like you? Sooner or later, the Wang family will be destroyed by you. If I hadn't discovered you and sent someone to take you away in time to prevent the situation from getting out of hand, you would have been ready to die. Wang Yongkang's words stunned Wang Yaolin. Unexpectedly, his father not only did not sympathize with his situation, but became even angrier. Impossible. I've investigated. That Lu Ming is just a guy from an ordinary family. I don't know how I got lucky enough to hook up with Lin Wan. Wang Yongkang interrupted Wang Yaolin directly and scolded him. Is Lin Wan's Group easy to mess with? If she targets us, will our Qingshan real estate be in trouble? What on earth is going on in your head? I didn't intend to hurt Lin Wan, I just wanted to teach that kid named Lu Ming a lesson. Besides, if they target our Wang family, Shuaimu Group will have to pay a lot, and maybe Lin Wan won't take the lead for that kid. Wang Yaolin didn't know how deep Lin Wan's love for Lu Ming was. In his opinion, it was impossible for Lin Wan to give up such a huge benefit and go against the Wang family for Lu Ming. He. Wang Yaolin didn't understand why Zhao Yongkang sneered. But what Wang Yongkang said next made him fall into deeper shock. Okay. Even if you are right, Lin Wan will not help him. But what about Lu Ming himself? You said he came from an ordinary family. He is a major shareholder holding 70% of Hongyan Group, and you say he is from an ordinary family. What? This is impossible. Wang Yaolin was so shocked that he couldn't say anything else. His father was a shareholder of Excellence Plaza. He naturally knew that Excellence Plaza was an asset of the Hongyan Group. I also know what the terrifying existence of Hongyan Group represents. As long as someone in Hongyan Group speaks up, what does the little bit of Excellence Plaza his father holds count for? They were cleared out in minutes, and there were plenty of people from the outer sect willing to take over. At this time, Wang Yaolin was already beginning to feel fear in his heart. He knew that what his father Wang Yongkang said was definitely more reliable than what he said. After all, he was the one in charge of Qingshan real estate and had many more information channels than he did. So, the guy he had always insulted as a pretty boy was actually the major shareholder of Hongyan Group. I just learned about this, and this is internal information that cannot be announced to the public. Only we, the relevant shareholders, know about it. After hearing what Wang Yongkang said, Wang Yaolin felt his whole heart trembling. This. Dad. Then, what should I do? Wang Yaolin could hardly speak clearly. He knew very well what would happen if he offended this big boss behind the scenes, as long as he said a word. There are many people who are willing to kill those who are trying to please the Wang family. He never imagined that the pretty boy he thought of actually had such a terrifying background. But think about it. How could an arrogant female boss like Lin Wan really marry an ordinary person? I am such an idiot. Dad, please think of a solution quickly. Help me. Wang Yongkang sighed heavily and said, I can't think of any good solution for now. I can only bring you to apologize and beg for forgiveness. Wang Yaolin was silent. He knew that this was the best way, and he didn't dare to think about other ideas like escape. Where else can he run to? No matter how far away the world is, he will be captured and brought back, and the Wang family will also be implicated. Go back and wait for my notification. Wang Yaolin nodded, opened the door like a puppet and walked out of the office. Wait a moment. Wang Yongkang suddenly called him. Wang Yaolin turned his head suddenly, and a flash of color appeared in his eyes. I thought my father had some good idea. But Wang Yongkang just said it embarrassedly. The matter of kidney deficiency cannot be delayed. I know a Chinese medicine doctor, I'll take you to see him after this matter. Wang Yaolin collapsed and ran out of the office. The other side. Lu Ming and Lin Wan were a little hungry after walking for a whole day. Honey, are you hungry? In fact, after walking around the streets for an entire afternoon, Lu Ming was already starving. Lin Wan looked at Lu Ming with a smile, knowing that her little puppy husband was hungry, and smiled. I'm not hungry. I'm full just looking at you. After all, you're so pretty, my husband. Lu Ming looked helpless, knowing that Lin Wan was teasing him. Okay, just kidding. I'll take you somewhere. Lin Wan took Lu Ming's hand and walked towards the Excellence building behind Excellence Plaza. It is a landmark building in Haiban City and also the tallest building in Haiban City. The two took the elevator to the 118th floor. This is the top floor of the Excellence building. The elevator opens. It turned out to be an elegantly decorated restaurant. Elegant music was playing in the restaurant, and looking through the glass windows, the view was broad and unobstructed. This restaurant has a nice environment. Lu Ming praised. Yeah. I put a lot of effort into this. And that's not all. Many of the restaurants in Excellence Plaza are owned by me. From now on you can eat whatever you want. Lin Wan spoke about each family one by one, just like a child showing off a lollipop and then eating it with his friends in the end. This also made Lu Ming laugh secretly. What would her expression be if I told her that the entire Excellence Plaza belonged to her? Chapter 20 New Reward Method. As the owners of this restaurant, Lu Ming and Lin Wan certainly enjoy the best service. After all, he is the boss. Do you want to be fired? Therefore, the dishes ordered by Lu Ming were served very quickly. Yes, these were all the dishes ordered by Lu Ming. Lu Ming asked Lin Wan to order the dishes, but Lin Wan always considered him. Honey, you order whatever you like. It doesn't matter even if the entire menu is presented to you. The waitress serving at the side was so shocked when she saw Lin Wan like this that she almost screamed out. Fortunately, his strong desire to survive made him shut up. The female boss is actually married. And she looked gentle and obedient in front of this man. In the past, when she occasionally saw the boss coming to dine, he was almost always alone, and his face was always very cold, which made people afraid to approach him. This really overturned his perception of his boss. But Boss Lin's husband is so handsome, no wonder Boss Lin treats him so well. If I had a husband like this, I would treat him better than this. The waitress couldn't help but think of all sorts of random things. Hello. It was not until Lu Ming ordered the food that he came to his senses. Soon after Lu Ming placed the order, various delicious dishes were quickly served. Xiaoting, please go out first, we can do it ourselves. Lin Wan dismissed the waitress from the private room. She just wanted to enjoy her alone time with Lu Ming. And she just saw it. When Xiaoting was ordering food next to her husband Lu Ming, her eyes kept unconsciously glancing at Lu Ming. Her husband was so charming that she didn't mean to blame Xiaoting. She just asked her to go out and serve her husband herself. Husband, try it. The food here tastes pretty good. I recruited the chef from somewhere else. But your food is the most delicious after you cook it. Lu Ming smiled and picked up the chopsticks. I picked up some vegetables and started eating. I have to say, the taste is pretty good and the ingredients are very fresh. But it's still a little worse than what I did myself. However, here we are not only enjoying the food, but also enjoying the beautiful environment. Dining on such a high floor feels like being in the clouds, and you can overlook the entire city in a blink of an eye. Especially now, there are delicious food, good wine, beautiful scenery, and the beautiful woman you love is by your side. This is simply the ultimate enjoyment. How does it feel? Lin Wan asked Lu Ming. This restaurant is her work. She naturally hopes to be liked by her sweetheart. Lu Ming also expressed his feelings at the moment. After listening, Lin Wan smiled and said, "Husband, you and I are really compatible. We all thought similarly. So I used to like to come here to eat when I had nothing to do. But now, I feel even more emotional because I am eating here with my beloved husband." Lu Ming smiled and put down his chopsticks. He reached out and grabbed Lin Wan's small hand, playing with it in his hand. Lin Wan's small hands have delicate skin, are soft and boneless, and are extremely comfortable to hold. Lu Ming couldn't help but feel playful and didn't even eat properly. Seeing this, Lin Wan said, "Husband, come here." Lu Ming was a little surprised and didn't know what Lin Wan was going to do. "Come over here, hubby, I'll make this meal a better experience for you. This is my dual responsibility as a wife and boss." Lin Wan blinked her eyes, looking mischievous. After hearing what Lin Wan said, Lu Ming was also very curious about how to make the dining experience even better. So he stood up and walked towards Lin Wan. When she reached her side, Lin Wan grabbed Lu Ming and pulled him. Lu Ming sat on Lin Wan's big white legs all of a sudden. Lu Ming was still confused. "Just see." Lin Wan picked up a piece of roast duck on the table and brought it to Lu Ming's mouth. Seeing this, Lu Ming came back to his senses. Only then did I understand what Lin Wan meant by the better experience. It turned out that he just sat on her lap and let her feed him. This feeling. It's really good. Lu Ming swallowed the food that Lin Wan fed him in one gulp. He thought it was just average when he ate it before. But now that Lin Wan was feeding him, Lu Ming actually felt that the food had become even more delicious. After Lu Ming ate the roast duck slices that Lin Wan fed him, the voice of the system suddenly rang in his mind. "Ding, congratulations to their host for having a free meal for the first time, reward, God-level driving skills." The system prompt made Lu Ming stunned for a moment. Hasn't he already been a gigolo? Why does the system say that this is the first time I've been given free food? Is there a bug in the system? Lu Ming quickly asked the system. After a systematic explanation, Lu Ming finally understood. It turns out that the system will also reward this kind of actual freeloading. To put it simply, as long as Lin Wan feeds him, the system will regard him as a gigolo and he will be rewarded. It turned out that Lu Ming had always believed that in order to be a gigolo, he needed to gain some benefits from Lin Wan. I didn't expect that being fed a meal would be okay. But it's not too late to know now. Is it delicious, honey? My wife feeds me better. I want to eat more. Now that he knew about this, Lu Ming would definitely take the opportunity to make a good use of it. After hearing that Lu Ming still wanted more, Lin Wan picked up the food on the table again. It was delivered to Lu Ming's mouth again. "Ding, congratulations to their host for having a gigolo. The assets gained from having a gigolo are plus 2,000.000.0000 yuan." The system prompt sounded again. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Just by eating another bite of food, he made 2 million. This is so cool. So later on, Lu Ming always asked Lin Wan to feed him. Lin Wan did not refuse and served Lu Ming well. Then, "Ding, congratulations to their host for having a gigolo. The assets gained from having a gigolo are plus 2,000.000.00 yuan. Ding, congratulations to their host for having a gigolo. The assets gained from having a gigolo are plus 2,000.000.00 yuan. Ding, congratulations to their host for having a gigolo. The assets gained from having a gigolo are plus 2,000.000.00 yuan. Lu Ming just kept accepting the food like this and ate all the food on the table. However, Lu Ming was still not satisfied and said, I'm still a little hungry. Then I'll order a few more for you. How could Lin Wan bear to let her husband go hungry, so she quickly ordered a few more dishes. Then he started feeding Lu Ming again. Ding, congratulations to their host for having a gigolo. The assets gained from having a gigolo are plus 2,000.000.0000 yuan. Ding, congratulations to their host for having a gigolo. The assets gained from having a gigolo are plus 2,000.000.00 yuan. Ding, congratulations to their host for breaking through 200 million yuan in assets from living off others. Reward, Haiban City's event information table for the next 3 days. After finishing the meal, Lu Ming had gained 100 million in assets. There are also god-level driving skills and an information table of events in Seaside City for the next 3 days. Lu Ming read the general introduction of this information sheet. It is said that this information sheet records the major events that will happen in Haiban City in the next 3 days. This is good stuff. Chapter 21, Lightning Speed. It took nearly 2 hours to finish this meal. However, Lu Ming and Lin Wan were enjoying it so much that they didn't notice that so much time had passed. The two of them rested on the sofa in the private room. After a while, Lin Wan's cell phone suddenly rang, and she picked it up and looked at it. Honey, did you rest well? Yin sent me a message saying that all the procedures for the car have been completed. We can always drive back. Hearing this, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He immediately decided to go and take over the luxury car that belonged to him. Back to the auto show. At this time, the auto show was still bustling with people. The flow of people is even greater than during the day. Lu Ming and Lin Wan still took the VIP channel and came directly to the center of the auto show. They also met Wang Yingying, who had been waiting for them for a long time. You two are really famous. The first thing Wang Yingying said when she saw the two of them was a joke. Lu Ming and Lin Wan were confused. What? You two beat him up on Wang Yaolin's turf at Excellence Plaza. Such an explosive thing has been revealed, and it has now spread everywhere. Hearing this, Lu Ming and Lin Wan smiled at each other. This incident was just a small episode during their shopping today, but they didn't expect it to spread so quickly. This is not a good thing for Wang Yaolin. Didn't the Wang family suppress the news? Lu Ming asked curiously. Wang Yingying nodded. Yes, such a shameful thing, the Wang family will naturally take action. So these things are only known to people in our circle, and our auto show is in Excellence Plaza, so of course I will receive the news earlier. Wang Yingying's words made Lu Ming secretly relieved. He doesn't want to be famous. Being famous prevents him from living a low-key life as a gigolo. By the way, the paperwork for your vehicle purchase has been completed. It's all here. Then Wang Yingying returned to the main topic. He handed the documents and keys of the 6 luxury cars to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took it. There was a huge stack of documents related to 6 luxury cars. It felt very heavy in his hand. We'll drive one back, and I'll ask you to deliver the rest. Lu Ming said to Wang Yingying. There were only him and Lin Wan, so they could only drive 2 cars at most. The others had to be sent back by the people at the auto show. But of course the couple took 1 car home, so Lu Ming asked Wang Yingying to send the remaining car back. Of course. That's what we're supposed to do. Wang Yingying agreed readily and then asked. Which car are you going to drive back? The car is right outside, you can drive away directly. So, the group came to the exhibition hall. Lu Ming looked at the luxury cars that belonged to him, and finally chose the Aston Martin 177 and got in the car. The appearance of the Aston Martin 177, which is limited to 77 units worldwide and has a domestic quota of 5 units, deeply touched Lu Ming's heart. As a super sports car, although its appearance does not have a strong impact, it has a noble and elegant posture. Their wide and flat body has lines extending all their way to their headlights, forming a drop that gives the front face a 3-dimensional feel. Their well-defined concave lines on the side and the convex wheel arches create a very powerful posture. The interior inherits Aston Martin's luxurious and exquisite craftsmanship, with a large number of exposed carbon fiber panels, demonstrating the pursuit of lightweight. Looking at the many exquisite designs of the interior, Lu Ming couldn't put it down after getting in the car. Only Lu Ming had just gotten in the car. Some people who came to the auto show protested loudly. Hey! Why can you get in the car and experience it while we have to stand outside and watch? Are you looking down on us? This is not fair. The man's voice was so loud that it attracted a lot of attention. Many people also looked over here with curiosity. Wang Yingying, who was standing by, looked very unhappy when she saw the situation. She would not tolerate people who disrupted the order of the auto show, and she immediately retorted. He's the car owner, why can't he ride in his own car? If you can afford it, you can ride in it too. As soon as these words came out, the man who protested loudly immediately changed his expression, lowered his head and dared not say another word, then turned around and left the auto show. Now everyone in the audience knew that Lu Ming bought this Aston Martin 177. In the attention of the whole audience, Lu Ming started the Aston Martin 177. The roar of the engine instantly sounded in the exhibition hall. It is full of power and makes people's blood boil. For Lu Ming, who possesses God-level driving skills, operating this Aston Martin 177 is a piece of cake. With the sound of harsh tire friction, the Aston Martin 177 left a circle of black tire marks on the booth and turned over. Then he stepped on the accelerator again, and the thunderous sound of the engine exploded. Lu Ming drove the Aston Martin 177 towards the exit that the exhibition organizers had reserved early in the morning. Like a silver-gray arrow of light, it disappeared from everyone's sight. After leaving the exhibition hall, the car came to a road with heavy traffic. But the car's speed didn't slow down much. Under Lu Ming's continuous operation, the Aston Martin 177 moved flexibly in the traffic. Many vehicles quickly moved aside when they saw Lu Ming's car, not daring to drive too close to Lu Ming. Lin Wan, who was sitting in the passenger seat, saw Lu Ming weaving in and out of traffic without showing any fear. Instead, he tilted his head and stared at Lu Ming blankly. "Honey, are you scared? I'll slow down a bit." After a burst of excitement, Lu Ming calmed down and slowed down the car. Although Lu Ming has God-level driving skills, the driving skills are deeply engraved in his bones. It can be said that he is one with the car. This level of difficulty was just a piece of cake for him and he was completely confident. He was worried that Lin Wan would be scared and think this was dangerous driving. But Lin Wan didn't show any sign of abnormality, instead there were stars in her eyes. "I'm fine, honey. I believe you." Hearing this, Lu Ming felt a warm feeling in his heart. My wife trusts me so much that she even puts her personal safety in my hands, and I'm not worried at all that he might get into an accident while speeding. "Honey, please drive faster." Lin Wan's words made Lu Ming a little stunned. Why did she ask him to drive fast? Seeing Lu Ming stunned, Lin Wan explained. "Honey, you looked so handsome when you were driving just now. Just like in the movies." As Lin Wan spoke, she used her hands and feet to act out the actions in the movie. Seeing this, Lu Ming didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This little nympho. I was just focused on looking at my handsome movements while driving. Okay, let's go for a drive somewhere farther away. As Lu Ming spoke, he drove Lin Wan to an area in the suburbs where the speed limit was higher. In this kind of place, Lu Ming can better demonstrate his God-level driving skills, and the Aston Martin 177 can also better demonstrate its performance. The 6-speed manual transmission can complete the 0-100 km/h acceleration sprint in 3.5 s, and the top speed will reach 354 km/h. It gave Lu Ming and Lin Wan a strong feeling of being pushed on their backs, and they both couldn't help but shout out loud. Woo! Chapter 22. The man in the video. Just as Lu Ming and Lin Wan were enjoying the passion brought by speed, the scene that just happened between them at the auto show was captured by the attendees and posted online. And because the reversal was too quick, with the addition of two beauties, Wang Yingying and Lin Wan, this video went viral instantly. The number of views and likes has skyrocketed. The comments are even more varied. Fuck. There are beauties, two of them. To be honest, these two beauties are really awesome. Aren't they prettier than those anchors? Har 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 har, that beautiful lady who was scolding others was so sharp that my buddy was completely speechless. That's fine. Can't I drive my own car even if I bought it? It's so funny. The louder the protest, the more embarrassed I was. I couldn't even stay still and ran away in shame. I heard that the beauty in the video is a rich woman. She bought 6 luxury cars at the auto show at once. What the hell? Is this true? Beautiful women, look at me. Rich women, look at me. Seeking support from a rich woman. Luxury cars, beauties and a twisted plot have made this video very popular. Soon, Lin Ruyan came across this video. At this time, Lin Ruyan had no classes, so she stayed in the dormitory and watched short videos out of boredom. Then I saw this video. As Lin Wan's daughter, she recognized at first sight that the beautiful woman sitting in the sports car in the video was her mother Lin Wan. Although she was sitting in the car at the time and the reflection through the window glass was a little blurry, she still recognized it at a glance. Then he looked at the beauty outside the car. I remembered again that this was my mother's friend Wang Yingying. Lin Wan once took her and Wang Yingying out for dinner. That further proves that my vision is correct. My mother has never liked sports cars, so the luxury car she bought this time should be for my father. So, the man in the driver's seat is the father she found for me. Lin Ruyan analyzed it carefully. At the same time, he also looked carefully at the man in the driver's seat in the video. Unfortunately, the person who filmed this video was on the other side. The main perspective of the video is also focused on Wang Yingying and the person who is protesting. So I could hardly capture the man's front face, and it was very blurry. Even if Lin Ruyan took a screenshot of the video and then enlarged it. I even tried to find videos taken by other photographers, hoping that there would be clearer shots of the man in videos from different angles. But the end result is still the same. I couldn't see the man clearly. But Lin Ruyan looked at the man's profile in the video and always had a familiar feeling. Do I know this man? Lin Ruyan was shocked by her own idea. I quickly recalled the faces of my mother's suitors. But still can't find a similar one. If I had known earlier, I would have asked my mother to tell me who that man was. I wouldn't have to be so curious and guess all the time. It's so annoying. Lin Ruyan thought about it, picked up the phone and called Lin Wan. He really couldn't stand it anymore. The desire for knowledge was like a feather scratching his heart, making it itchy. So I decided to call my mother to ask. But Lin Ruyan made several calls, but no one answered. Under normal circumstances, she would be used to it. After all, as the president of a group, Lin Wan is very busy and often needs to attend meetings. There have been times in the past when I can't get through on the phone, so I would just wait for my mother to finish her work and call her back. But Lin Ruyan felt very uncomfortable because no one answered the phone today. I feel itchy. The man in the video looks so familiar. But I just can't remember who it was. This made her very eager to know who that man was. But no one answered the phone. This feeling of being only one step away from the truth, within reach, but unable to take the last step. Only those who have experienced it know the truth. If I have to describe it, it's like following a TV series for a long time and knowing that the final ending is happy end. But it has only been updated to the penultimate episode, and the last episode will not be aired until next week. There is no sense of perfection in not seeing the male and female protagonists being sweet and affectionate with each other. Why? In the end, Lin Ruyan had no choice but to sigh and give up. I opened the calendar, looked at the date and consoled myself, it's okay. The holiday will be here soon. Then I can go home and see with my own eyes who that man is. Just when Lin Ruyan was feeling extremely itchy and restless. On the other side, Lu Ming and Lin Wan drove the Aston Martin 177 back to Yunli's former residence villa. The two men got out of the car. Maybe it's because I just experienced the Fast and Furious experience. Lin Wan's face flushed slightly, and she was still very excited. When I first got off the car, I walked unsteadily, and then I walked onto the lawn. His legs went limp and he collapsed onto the lawn. Lu Ming saw this. He quickly ran over and tried to help Lin Wan up. Unexpectedly, Lin Wan suddenly exerted force and pulled Lu Ming down with her. The two of them lay down on the lawn together. In fact, this was also because Lu Ming sensed Lin Wan's intention and was deliberately pulled down by him. Otherwise, with Lu Ming's physical fitness, even 10 Lin Wans might not be able to pull him down. The fallen Lu Ming quickly took Lin Wan into his arms. Smell Lin Wan's pleasant fragrance, listen to the sound of water flowing in the artificial lake, and look at the stars in the sky. The tiredness of the day disappeared in an instant, and there was an indescribable peace and comfort in my heart. Lu Ming couldn't help but close his eyes and feel it carefully. But Lin Wan beside him turned her head, blinked her starry eyes, and spoke gently. Hubby, I love you so much. I'm so happy to be with you. Lin Wan couldn't help but recall the days before Lu Ming. After my daughter left for college, I was often left alone. In daily life, I handle work even when I am eating. Because she couldn't find anything else to do. Only by paralyzing yourself with endless work can you avoid having the energy and mind to think about other things. But after being with Lu Ming, she could eat, go shopping, and even race cars with Lu Ming every day. Besides, lie on the lawn together and listen to the wind and admire the moon. These were things she had never imagined doing before. After living for so many years, she finally realized that life can be so interesting and beautiful. She fell in love with this life. Hubby, we will always be together, right? Lin Wan couldn't help but ask. How she feared that this life was just a dream or a temporary possession. Hearing this, Lu Ming opened his eyes and looked at Lin Wan seriously. He hugged Lin Wan with more strength and held her tightly. Yes, we will. We will always be together and happy forever. Aha! Lu Ming's words made Lin Wan feel completely safe, and her face was filled with a happy smile. The two of them didn't speak after that. Just lying quietly on the lawn. Chapter 23, What is the reason for the rapid improvement in cooking skills? In the breeze, Lin Wan gradually fell asleep. She was so excited that she didn't sleep well last night, and she played outside with Lu Ming all day today. Obviously exhausted. Listening to her breathing gradually becoming even, Lu Ming smiled. He turned sideways and looked at her face quietly. I have to say, Lin Wan completely conforms to Lu Ming's aesthetic taste. Lu Ming recalled the amazement he felt when he first saw Lin Wan during a blind date. It was then that he knew what a peerless beauty was. Her skin is as white as cream, her eyebrows are as dark as green mountains, her pupils are as clear as water, and her lips are as red as clouds. All this made Lu Ming unable to help but move closer and kiss her on the cheek. As the night deepened, the weather is gradually getting cooler. Lu Ming carefully picked up Lin Wan and returned to the room. Holding her, he fell asleep peacefully. No words were spoken that night. Early the next morning, as soon as Lu Ming woke up, the system notification sound rang in his mind. Ding! Daily asset increase reward has arrived. Immediately following, 40 million yuan was transferred into your account 7688 at 9:06 on September 6th. Account balance, 45,260,045.03 yuan. The SMS reminder for the bank card also arrived soon. Now the system has reached level 2, with a daily asset growth rate of 20%, and the assets earned by Ji Cheng from his gigolo have exceeded 200 million. So I got the system's 40 million reward for free early in the morning. The cash in his account suddenly increased from 5 million to more than 5 million. Plus the 5 million on another card given by Lin Wan. Doesn't that mean I have 50 million in cash now? This money comes too easily. Lu Ming couldn't help but sigh. You can't spend it all, you can't spend it all at all. After being amazed, Lu Ming also discovered that Lin Wan was not around. So I got up, washed up, and walked to the living room. Then I saw Lin Wan's back busy in the open kitchen. Lin Wan heard Lu Ming's footsteps at once. She turned around and was surprised when she saw him. Hubby, you're awake. Did you sleep well? As he spoke, he walked towards Lu Ming. Had the first hug of the day. After Lu Ming hugged Lin Wan, he rested his chin on Lin Wan's head. I slept soundly until dawn. You must have been exhausted yesterday. Lin Wan nodded in Lu Ming's arms. Me too. I haven't had such a comfortable sleep in a long time. When I woke up, I felt not tired at all and was in a good mood. Oh, I made breakfast. Come and eat it, or it will get cold. Lin Wan suddenly remembered his breakfast, came out of Lu Ming's arms, and pulled him to sit on the chair. Then he went back and forth several times and took out various breakfasts from the kitchen. Today's breakfast is a rich Chinese breakfast. There are soy milk, fried dough sticks, 8 treasure porridge, and small buns. You did all this so early in the morning? Lu Ming asked in surprise. These things are not easy to make and are quite time-consuming. Lin Wan blinked and said, yes, why don't you try it? As he spoke, He pushed a bowl of 8 treasure porridge in front of Lu Ming. Good. Lu Ming picked up the 8 treasure porridge and took a bite. The dense and slightly sweet 8 treasure porridge instantly exploded in Lu Ming's mouth, and the fragrance of several different grains became more obvious as he chewed. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He picked up another bun on the table and took a bite. The meaty juice and the texture of the buns complement each other perfectly. All of a sudden, Lu Ming's appetite was whetted. The speed of chewing in my mouth has become much faster. Today's breakfast is delicious. Lu Ming couldn't help but praise. In fact, he was quite surprised. Although the breakfast Lin Wan made this time was not a delicacy, it was undoubtedly a qualitative leap compared to the last time. If last breakfast was a cooking experiment by a kitchen novice and was barely edible, today's breakfast is much better than those breakfast shops outside. Lu Ming was really surprised by the great progress. You know, only one day has passed. It was as if Lin Wan had opened up the Ren and Do meridians of cooking and became a natural cook without any guidance. You're making rapid progress. How did you do it? Lu Ming couldn't help but ask curiously. After receiving Lu Ming's praise, Lin Wan's face was filled with a delighted smile. With a hint of pride, she said proudly, "This is my true level." But after hearing this, Lu Ming just looked at Lin Wan quietly, which made Lin Wan feel shy and she surrendered on her own initiative. Well, I studied all day yesterday. Hearing this, Lu Ming was stunned. Yesterday? Weren't we together the whole time yesterday? How could you have time to study? Lu Ming clearly remembered that they had been together since they got up, and he didn't see how Lin Wan learned to make breakfast. That's it. Lin Wan turned on her cell phone and waved it in front of Lu Ming's eyes. The documents in the mobile phone are all food recipes that Lin Wan found on the internet, and many of the ingredients in the documents have been marked by Lin Wan. It turned out that one of the reasons why Lin Wan didn't sleep last night was because she collected these things on the internet and organized them into a document. It is convenient for you to check at any time. In order to make a good breakfast, Lin Wan used almost all of her free time. When Lu Ming was shopping, when he was waiting for the formalities to be processed, when he was resting after dinner, Lin Wan didn't waste any time. She called up the document and studied hard. Today I got up early in the morning and started preparing. This was so that Lu Ming could eat the breakfast she made as soon as he got up. After knowing this, Lu Ming was stunned. I didn't expect that Lin Wan would work so hard to learn cooking just to have a delicious breakfast. A warm current rose in Lu Ming's heart, and he was so moved that he couldn't help but speak. Thank you, honey, you are so kind to me. From childhood to adulthood, no one has been so kind to me except my parents. I love you, my wife. Hearing Lu Ming's sincere words, Lin Wan also blushed a little and said shyly, "You are my little milk dog husband, of course I have to treat you well." Lu Ming couldn't help but sigh that having such a wife in his life was enough. In the past, Lin Wan had always been a cold and arrogant female boss, who had never been involved in worldly affairs and had never been so nice to others. But now, she has become a gentle and lovely wife and even works so hard to learn cooking. At this time, Lu Ming was extremely glad that he and Lin Wan were married. Otherwise he might have missed the best wife in the world. What are you daydreaming about? Eat quickly or it will get cold. Lin Wan interrupted Lu Ming's thoughts and brought him back to reality. Lu Ming nodded coquettishly and just picked up the spoon, but seemed to think of something and put it down again. Why don't you eat again? Lin Wan looked at Lu Ming's actions and asked in surprise. Lu Ming grabbed Lin Wan's arm and shook it, saying coquettishly, "Wife, I still want you to feed me." Lin Wan was stunned for a moment, but immediately picked up the spoon. "I don't want to either, but my little milk dog husband is acting like a spoiled brat, how can I refuse him?" Chapter 24. The father and son came to apologize. Ding, congratulations to their host for having a gigolo. The assets gained from having a gigolo are plus 2,000.000.0000 yuan. Ding, congratulations to their host for having a gigolo. The assets gained from having a gigolo are plus 2,000.000.0000 yuan. Ding, congratulations to their host for having a gigolo, and reward, perfume formula. Lu Ming ate up today's breakfast gently fed by Lin Wan. While eating his fill, he also spent 42 million in assets from his life as a freeloader, and was also rewarded with a perfume formula. But Lu Ming didn't pay attention to it. It was more important to interact with his wife right now. I don't know why the food my wife feeds me tastes better. Thank you for your hard work. After eating, Lu Ming did not forget to praise Lin Wan sweetly. Lin Wan rolled her eyes at Lu Ming and said, "What nonsense." But he continued, "As long as you like, I can keep feeding you." In Lin Wan's opinion, it is a pleasure to feed the man she loves. It is a happy thing, not troublesome or hard at all. While Lu Ming was touched, he was also very happy to be able to continue to receive the system's rewards for free. At the same time, a black car was driving towards their villa. Inside were Wang Yaolin and his son Wang Yongkang. In front of the uniformer residence villa, Wang Yaolin and Wang Yongkang got out of the car and looked through the iron gate outside. "Dad, is this it?" Wang Yongkang slapped Wang Yaolin on the head and said unhappily. "This house was sold to Lin Wan by our company. How could I have gone wrong? How could I give birth to such a stupid son like you?" Wang Yaolin touched his head aggrievedly. "I just forgot for a moment." The words haven't been finished yet. Another slap came. "Shut up." Now Wang Yaolin didn't dare to speak anymore. "You better adjust your attitude now. Lu Ming is not an ordinary person as you thought before. He is the absolute controlling shareholder of Hongyan Group. If you want to mess with our Wang family, you don't have to do it yourself. You must apologize to me sincerely later. If we don't get their forgiveness, we will have to beg for food in the future." Wang Yaolin kept his mouth shut, not daring to speak, for fear of getting slapped if he said something wrong, so he could only nod his head wildly to indicate. "Are you mute? Speak to me." Wang Yongkang slapped Wang Yaolin on the head again. Now Wang Yaolin was devastated. "I get beaten whether I speak or not. He is so difficult. I guess the beatings I received since I was a child were never as many as today." Of course he knew what his father said. After all, he also knew the strength of Hongyan Group. So he didn't sleep well last night. "I tossed and turned in bed, wondering how to apologize in a sincere way today. Thought about it all night." He finally made up his mind. When she met Lu Ming, she no longer cared about face or dignity. The apology should be as sincere as possible. After all, this concerns the life and death of their Wang family. After the father and son reached an agreement. Ding dong. They rang the doorbell. Then they immediately bowed to the camera on the gate, hoping that the owner of the villa would be able to see their sincerity at first sight through the camera. But as time goes by, 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes passed. They still didn't get any response. "Didn't you hear?" the two guessed. "I had no choice but to ring the doorbell again. Bo again." But a few minutes passed. Still no one responded. The father and son could not help but sit face to face in silence. "Dad, is the doorbell inside broken?" Wang Yaolin tentatively put forward a hypothesis. But Wang Yongkang just shook his head silently. "How is that possible? As a top-end villa, it is impossible for uni residents to have such a mistake. The only possibility is, I guess our performance was not sincere enough. After all, it is impossible for you to forgive us just because we bowed. So we still have to continue to show our sincerity to others." Wang Yongkang guessed. Because it is the only reasonable way. He knew that Lu Ming and Lin Wan had already moved into the uni old residence, and they had arrived here early in the morning. It was obviously impossible for the other party to have left earlier than them. Moreover, with such a big villa, there must be some servants hired to take orders at home. Even if they are not at home, maids responsible for cleaning and housekeeping will appear. But they had already rung the doorbell twice. No one showed up. That can only be the reason. Then what should we do, Dad? They don't want to see us. It seems they are unwilling to forgive me. Wang Yaolin asked anxiously. Calm down. Why are you panicking? It's too early to say this now. Maybe they just want to see our sincerity. Wang Yongkang glared at Wang Yaolin and continued. Then we won't ring the doorbell anymore. Lu Ming should know that we are here, but he just doesn't want to see us. We just waited at the door, and when he saw our sincerity, he would naturally be willing to meet us. That's when things will turn around. Clear? Wang Yaolin nodded seriously. Dad, you are so cunning, oh no. So resourceful. What awaited him was another slap from Wang Yongkang. After that, the father and son waited quietly at the door of the villa. They hoped that Lu Ming would see their sincerity and be willing to show mercy and meet them. But what they don't know is, Lu Ming and Lin Wan had no idea that the two had arrived. Because they were watching a movie together leisurely in the video room. There was no doorbell ringing at all. It is not as Wang Yongkang said that he could not see their sincerity and was unwilling to meet with them. Time passes by every second. The sun gradually rose. The sun in September is extremely scorching. Wang Yongkang and his son, who had been standing in front of the villa gate, were already sweating profusely. The shirt he was wearing was already soaked and stuck to his body, and his hair, which he had carefully styled before going out, was now a mess. Finally, Wang Yaolin couldn't help but said, "Dad, there's still no one." Wang Yongkang glared at him fiercely and said, "Then keep waiting. No matter how long it takes, you have to wait until someone shows up." The weather was so hot that Wang Yaolin wanted to go home. But Wang Yongkang seemed to see through Wang Yaolin's thoughts and shouted angrily, "Why don't you think about it? If it weren't for you, the rebellious son. We are here in the hot sun. If you can't wait here, then go back and wait for them to come after you." Now Wang Yaolin didn't dare to speak. He had never suffered such hardship since he was a child, but there was nothing he could do. Although it is a bit hot, think about the consequences of offending the big sharks. I might have to live on the streets as a beggar for the rest of my life. My heart trembled. Wiping the sweat from my forehead, I continued to wait silently. Chapter 25, Pig-Headed King Yaolin. But the two of them were wrong after all, even though Lu Ming and Lin Wan had already left the audio-visual room. But because they didn't ring the doorbell again, the two of them had no idea that someone was waiting outside. In the blink of an eye, it was noon. "Are you hungry?" Lu Ming noticed that Lin Wan seemed a little hungry and asked with concern. "A little bit." "Then I'll go cook." Just as Lu Ming was about to cook, he was stopped by Lin Wan. "Didn't you say you would teach me how to cook?" Ever since she tasted Lu Ming's cooking skills last time, Lin Wan has been coveting his cooking skills. "I want to learn a few tricks from him to improve my cooking skills." Lu Ming naturally remembered and nodded. "Then let's go, I'll teach you how to cook today." They both went to the kitchen. Started one-on-one cooking teaching. Both of them were serious about this cooking lesson and did not take it lightly. Lu Ming has strict requirements. He strives to be meticulous in every step of cooking and cannot just get by. Otherwise, delicious meals cannot be made. Lin Wan was also fully focused, carefully remembering every word of Lu Ming. That's it. Lin Wan studied and practiced again and again. The dishes were just enough for the two hungry people to eat. After the review, Lu Ming pointed out the shortcomings and mistakes. Lin Wan fried it again. This led Lu Ming to a surprising discovery. Lin Wan's learning ability is so strong that it is terrifying. She would never make the same mistake that Lu Ming pointed out. It is almost impossible to master a dish in no more than 3 times. Although not as good as Lu Ming, he has already reached a level worthy of being accepted by the upper class. 2 hours later, Lin Wan was able to skillfully make the 4 dishes for lunch today. Just keep going like this. Lu Ming had every reason to believe that it wouldn't be long before Lin Wan's cooking skills would improve by leaps and bounds, and she would have no problem becoming a chef in a restaurant. Just when Lu Ming and Lin Wan finished their cooking lesson and had their fill, Wang Yongkang and his son outside the villa. "I have been standing in the scorching sun for 6 hours." The two men stood there with hungry stomachs and dry mouths. From early morning till now, they have not had a drop of water or a drop of food. Finally, Wang Yaolin felt dizzy. He stumbled and fell to the ground. Just the next second, Wang Yaolin screamed again and jumped up from the ground, coming to his senses instantly. The ground has been exposed to the sun for so long that you can fry eggs on it. How could Wang Yaolin just lie there? "Dad, I'm so hungry. Why don't we go eat something and drink some water first?" Unexpectedly, Wang Yongkang, who had been silent before, suddenly changed his expression. He kicked Wang Yaolin over with one kick. Wang Yaolin was kicked to the ground. The hot floor made Wang Yaolin want to get up quickly. But Wang Yongkang didn't let him go and kicked Wang Yaolin a few more times. "Why did I give birth to such a stupid thing like you? I am old now. It is embarrassing for me to come with you to apologize." This old bone has been exposed to the sun for so long and I didn't even cry out. You keep grumbling that you can't stand it anymore. If it weren't for you, how could I have endured this? Are you going back now to destroy our Wang family? I tell you, you have to wait for me even if it takes until the end of time. Wait until Lu Ming forgives you. Otherwise, even if you leave, I will kill you and send you to them first. Standing for long periods of time and being exposed to the sun have already made Wang Yongkang miserable. But Wang Yaolin keeps teasing his father. The anger that Wang Yongkang had been holding back for so long finally erupted and was directed towards his son Wang Yaolin. While cursing, Wang Yongkang stomped on Wang Yaolin with his size 43 big feet. That energy. It was as if the person under his feet was not his son, but like his enemy. But think about it. If Wang Yaolin hadn't provoked Lu Ming, why does he need to lose face? Shamelessly waiting here. The more Wang Yongkang thought about it, the angrier he became, and he showed no mercy. He beat Wang Yaolin, who was standing on his feet, to the ground, with a bruised face and nose. Wang Yaolin did not dare to resist. After all, it was his father who did it. Can that be called beating? That's how I teach my son. Dad. I don't dare anymore. I'll just wait here and won't go anywhere. Stop hitting me. At this time, Wang Yaolin was crying and his nose was full of snot, and his expensive suit was trampled into tatters. Dad. I was wrong. I was wrong. At this time, Wang Yaolin's face had been beaten into a pig's head. Under Wang Yaolin's wailing and begging for mercy, Wang Yongkang finally stopped panting. It's not that he's soft-hearted, he's just old after all, and he got tired after fighting for a while. Otherwise he even wanted to beat this useless son to death. Then just practice a new trumpet. Squeak. Just at this moment, the door of the villa suddenly opened. Wang Yongkang and Wang Yaolin turned around quickly as if they had heard the most beautiful sound in the world. The figure they had been waiting for finally appeared. Go away. Who are you? Why are you fighting in front of my house? Go fight somewhere else if you want. Lu Ming and Lin Wan walked out of the gate. Wang Yongkang pulled Wang Yaolin by the collar and hurried forward with a bright smile. No, Mr. Lu, we came here specially to apologize to you and Mr. Lin. Lu Ming looked at the two people in front of him, confused. After looking for a long time, I still couldn't recognize who these two people were. Boss Lu, this is my rebellious son Wang Yaolin. I'm teaching him a lesson. Hearing what Wang Yongkang said, Lu Ming and Lin Wan were both stunned. The two looked at each other, both surprised by the man in front of them. He is Wang Yaolin. Lu Ming pointed at the pig head with a bruised face and nose but trying hard to open his eyes and smile and asked. Yes, it's this rebellious son. Received recognition from Wang Yongkang. Lu Ming and Lin Wan were both stunned. They met Wang Yaolin just yesterday. Although Wang Yaolin suffered from kidney deficiency at that time, he was still dressed in a suit and looked like a young man. But the person in front of me. Oh no, pighead. It's simply impossible to imagine the two together. If Wang Yongkang hadn't admitted it himself, Lu Ming and Lin Wan would definitely not recognize that the pig-headed man in front of them was the arrogant young man Wang Yaolin yesterday. You hit him? Lu Ming couldn't help but ask. Yes. Lu Ming couldn't help but give Wang Yongkang a thumbs up. This old man was so cruel that he couldn't bear to beat his own son like this. Why don't you apologize to President Lu and President Lin immediately? Wang Yongkang looked at his son who was dumbfounded and silent, and scolded him in frustration. Only then did Wang Yaolin come to his senses. He started bowing continuously and shouting. Mr. Lu, Mr. Lin, I'm sorry. I have offended you before because of my ignorance and recklessness. I hope you will be magnanimous and forgive me this time. I promise I won't dare to do it next time. No, that's not right, I promise there won't be a next time. Chapter 26 Important Meeting. Lu Ming looked at Wang Yaolin, who was trembling and apologizing continuously, with a puzzled look on his face. What happened to the Wang family father and son? But at this time Wang Yongkang stuffed another thing into Lu Ming's arms, while saying, Mr. Lu, this is the apology gift we specially prepared. I hope you like it. Because Wang Yongkang stuffed it directly into Lu Ming's arms. Lu Ming subconsciously hugged the thing. It was so heavy that it felt heavy when he held it in his arms. Look down. It is a shiny sandalwood box, decorated with gold stripes. This gift, even the box it comes in, looks so high-end and worth a lot of money. Not to mention the things that are placed inside. I think it must be something extraordinary. Lu Ming still couldn't figure out why the Wang family father and son did this. I beat my son so hard in front of his house that he looked like a pig. Not only did he give a valuable gift. I keep apologizing to myself. Mr. Lu, Mr. Lin, what happened yesterday was all a misunderstanding. Didn't he offend you yesterday? I beat him up and brought him here to apologize to you. I will take good care of this rebellious son from now on. Can you please let him go? I promise he won't appear in your sight anymore. After listening to Wang Yongkang's words, Lu Ming finally understood. It turns out it was because of what happened yesterday. Although they had some minor conflicts yesterday. But Lu Ming never took it to heart. And he wasn't hurt at all. On the contrary, Wang Yaolin was at a disadvantage throughout the whole process. He was scolded, beaten, and exposed to shocking news by himself, and finally carried away by the security guards of Excellence Plaza. This made Lu Ming feel relieved, and he even felt that Wang Yaolin was already very miserable. Unexpectedly. Today, my father brought me here to apologize. He was made into this pig-headed state by his own father. Lu Ming couldn't bear it anymore. I didn't take yesterday's incident to heart at all. Hearing this, Wang Yongkang and Wang Yaolin smiled in surprise. Boss Lu, you have forgiven me. He never cared about Lu Ming's expedition. But the father and son seemed to be unable to explain it. Seeing the two of them like this, he could only say helplessly, yes, yes, yes. I forgive you. I don't need this thing either, you can take it back. I didn't expect these words to come out. The cheerful smiles of Wang Yongkang and his son suddenly turned into panic. Mr. Lu, we really apologize sincerely. Please believe us. Seeing this, Lu Ming knew that he might have to accept the apology gift. These two people feel uneasy when they see that I didn't receive the gifts. Okay, I accept the gift. You guys go back. Stop fighting. After Lu Ming finished speaking, he took Lin Wan back to the villa. He even kindly said a word for Wang Yaolin. Lu Ming is not a good person either. I just feel that Wang Yaolin is so miserable, so cruel. Boss Lu, Boss Lin, take care. When the Wang family father and son saw Lu Ming accept the apology gift, they looked at their backs as they left and shouted loudly. After returning to the villa, Lin Wan went to clean up the dishes, and Lu Ming finally had time to check the system information that had been jumping wildly today. Ding, congratulations to their host for having a gigolo. The assets gained from having a gigolo are plus 2,000.000.0000 yuan. Ding, congratulations to their host for having a gigolo. The assets gained from having a gigolo are plus 2,000.000.00 yuan. Lin Wan still fed Lu Ming the lunch he prepared, so Lu Ming earned more than 50 million yuan in assets from the lunch. Now the assets of his soft rice house suddenly exceeded 300 million, and the system rewarded him with good things. Ding, congratulations to their host for breaking through 300 million yuan in assets from living off others. Reward, increased physical recovery. God level little white face system. Level, LV2. Assets received, 312, 250, 000, 00. Skills, God level medical skills, cooking proficiency, God level driving skills, improved physical recovery ability. Improved physical recovery. Lu Ming carefully pondered the new things rewarded by the system this time. This skill improves his body's recovery ability. I just don't know to what extent it has been improved. Lu Ming opened the system introduction. After watching it, I was deeply shocked. According to the system introduction, the improved body recovery ability is not as simple as saying that a cut finger will stop bleeding and heal automatically. That is, as long as he doesn't die immediately, he can recover no matter how serious the injury is. Until you recover to good health. It just depends on the severity of the injury to determine the time it takes to recover. This is completely beyond the scope of human cognition. Although Lu Ming had thought about it before, whether the system would reward him with something beyond his imagination one day. But I didn't expect this day to come so soon. This thing is simply invincible. Just as Lu Ming was amazed, Lin Wan also came back after washing the dishes. Hubby, what are you thinking about? Lin Wan walked to the sofa and sat next to Lu Ming.
Nothing, just daydreaming.
Lin Wan was about to say something. Their cell phone suddenly rang, and I picked it up. She just responded with a few hums and then hung up the phone. Lu Ming also roughly heard that it was a call from the company.
After hanging up the phone,
Lin Wan said to Lu Ming apologetically, "Hubby, I'm sorry. There is a very important meeting at the company that I have to host. I have to rush over now, so I can't finish the meal with you."
Lu Ming was a little surprised. It was already 6 o'clock and time to get off work, but they still had to hold a meeting? Is it so important?
You have to go there specially after get off work. Lin Wan nodded and said, "Yes, this meeting is related to the development of our company in the second half of the year. Our company is the Greater China agent of the Lu Group, and this meeting is about cooperation with the Lu Group." Lu Ming also knew about Lin Wan's company before. Lin Wan's Shuaimu company was split and founded based on her surname. Although it sounds like some old traditional companies, even like a wood company. But in fact, the company's main business is beauty and skin care products, including product research and development, brand promotion, sales and other entire industrial chain. However, due to their high cost and risk of product development, it may not be successfully developed even after several years. Therefore, the main profitable business of Hongyan Group is to act as an agent for some excellent brands in the market and be responsible for their sales in Greater China. In this way, they can obtain the profit sharing agreed upon early on. "Honey, this meeting is really important to the company. I have to go to the company. Can you eat by yourself first? I will make it up to you later." Lin Wan kissed Lu Ming and said gently.
Lu Ming touched Lin Wan's head and smiled. "It's okay. Work is important too. You can't neglect all your work just because of me." Chapter 27 Depth Charges. Lu Ming understood very well. As the president of a large group, Lin Wan should be very busy every day. But he has been with her these past few days and she has never seen him work. "Why don't I take you to the company?" Lu Ming suddenly thought. Hearing this, Lin Wan's eyes lit up. Is it really possible? Lu Ming was confused. What's wrong? Isn't it normal for a husband to send his wife to work? No. I'm just worried. Lin Wan didn't finish her words. Ever since Wan Yaolin's incident, she was worried that there would be suitors like Wan Yaolin who would slander Lu Ming in the future. Although Shuaimu company is her company. But the human heart is hard to predict. She was still worried that some jealous people might be secretly plotting something. Lu Ming saw Lin Wan's concerns and smiled. "I have you to protect me. Are you afraid of him, the people in your company? Besides, I'm going there to assert my sovereignty over your company. This way they will know that you are my woman and will not covet you anymore." I heard the second half of Lu Ming's sentence declaring his sovereignty so domineeringly. How could Lin Wan refuse? "Okay, then you can go with me." So they washed and dressed up. He got on Lu Ming's Aston Martin 177 and drove towards Lin Wan's company. Even though it was rush hour, there was a lot of traffic on the road, but with Lu Ming's driving skills, they quickly arrived near Hongyan Group, a 62-story luxurious office building. Looking up, you can see 4 big words Hongyan Group hanging on the top. "That's my company. How about it?" Lin Wan was full of pride when talking about the giant company she built. "It's pretty good." Lu Ming responded calmly with a smile. Lu Ming has seen the world now. If it were before, he would definitely not be so calm. But after having the system and getting the rewards from the system, he also took these things lightly. After all, he has these too. The scale of Hongyan Group is much larger than that of Hongyan Group. Even the office building is a luxurious building that is familiar to everyone in Haiban City and is much more advanced than the office building of Hongyan Group. Lin Wan was a little surprised to see Lu Ming so calm. He originally wanted to show off in front of Lu Ming. I didn't expect Lu Ming to be so calm. He clearly remembered that Lu Ming was very excited when he saw the villa and the sports car. But now? How come? Lin Wan racked her brains but couldn't figure out the reason. But she stopped thinking about it only when she got to the company. "That's the parking lot entrance in front of us. Drive down from there." Lu Ming nodded and drove over according to Lin Wan's instructions. Parking lot entrance.
The security guard at the security booth saw a sports car driving towards the parking lot entrance. And it can't recognize and can't enter. Obviously an external social vehicle. Although he couldn't recognize what kind of car it was, he knew it must be very expensive just by looking at its appearance. I had no choice but to say, "I'm sorry. Non-company vehicles and vehicles without reservations are not allowed to enter." The security guard's eyes were wandering as he spoke. He just hoped that this wealthy or noble man would not make things difficult for him. He, a small security guard, can't afford to offend this kind of person. What if this person burns him with the fire that can't get in? Then he might lose his job at Hongyan Group. You know, for a company as big as Hongyan Group, even the security guard's benefits are among the best in the security industry. But he couldn't ignore the group's rules and allow vehicles to enter at will. "Boss Lin, please say something." The security guard heard the man driving the car say this in a trance. "It's my car, open the door." After hearing this, the security guard noticed that there was a person sitting in the passenger seat of the car. I lowered my head and looked carefully, and was instantly startled. "Mr. Lin. Mr. Lin. Excuse me. I'll open the door right away." Then he quickly returned to the security booth and pressed the switch. The railings go up. The sports car roared and drove towards the underground garage. The security guard couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief when he returned to the monitoring console in the booth. Unexpectedly, he actually stopped his boss's car today. It almost happened. But the security guard then remembered the handsome guy who was driving. He has also been working at Hongyan Group for several years. I always see the big boss driving to the company alone. I have never seen the boss appear with other men. Even with his huge team of suitors, no one could get close to her. To put it bluntly, many people are wondering whether their boss doesn't like men. But today, with doubts, the security guard couldn't help but look at the surveillance camera in the underground garage. In surveillance, the sports car stopped steadily. The two got out of the car together. But after getting off the car, the big boss actually took the initiative and walked to the man naturally. Grabbed the man's arm. The security guards who saw this scene were stunned. He rubbed his eyes quickly. "I wonder if I am too tired to see clearly." He actually saw the boss walking into the company with a man. It's not blurry, am I dreaming? The security guard couldn't help but slap himself. After Lu Ming and Lin Wan entered the office building, many employees saw the two people. On the surface, they all greeted Lin Wan respectfully. But when the two people walked past, every employee's face lost expression control, showing an incredible and unbelievable look. Fuck. Am I seeing things? Girls. Guess what I just saw? Boss Lin came to the company holding a man's arm. I saw it too. I almost thought I was seeing things. It turns out that President Lin still likes men. What's going on? I don't believe it. With Mr. Lin being such an iceberg, which man would dare to get close to him? Damn it. I saw it too. It's real. It's rush hour. Many people are just getting ready to go home after get off work, and now is the time when Hongyan Group has the heaviest flow of people. Lu Ming and Lin Wan ran into these people. The news spread quickly within the company. Many employees in the company received the news. After all, the news that Lin Wan appeared with a man and was even in love with him was like a bombshell in Hongyan Group. They all knew that Ms. Lin was a cold and arrogant female boss and most likely didn't like men. But now I'm in love. How could this not shock them? The female employees were fine, just a little surprised. But male employees are heartbroken. Lin Wan is the goddess in their hearts. To exaggerate a bit. Which male employee in the company has not dreamed of being with Lin Wan? I guess that means the orientation is not normal. Who wouldn't want such a rich and beautiful goddess? Although they knew clearly that Lin Wan was not someone they could pursue, no one could catch her. It's better not belonging to anyone than being taken away by another man now.